Chapter 176, Framing and Blaming 3. The slightly better scenario would be that the two sides have a skirmish, making a point but not causing too much impact on the tribe. The worst-case scenario is that the Crow tribe and the Jackal tribe discover the truth, temporarily join forces, and attack the Vine tribe. However, Jiang Xuan has already consulted the Divine Vine in advance. Now, possessing the strength of a medium-sized tribe's totem pattern, it should be able to withstand the attacks from these two tribes. Overthinking is useless. Better to get some sleep first. Speculation is always just speculation, because nobody knows how many surprises reality will bring. The next day, Jiang Xuan got up early to inspect the defenses around the tribe. The Vine tribe has dug numerous tunnels, including those surrounding the forest around the tribe. Around the Vine tribe, there are two layers of defense. One line of defense made of dangerous plants, and another with various traps and hidden sentries. Among them, after over a year of planting, the dangerous plants have begun to take shape. The fastest-growing ones are cage vine and head-biting flower. The propagated cage vine has already grown into a web of vines, with a growth speed that's astonishing. These vine webs usually spread across the ground and coexist with other plants. If you don't look closely, they are nearly invisible. However, once prey steps into it, the cage vine will instantly spring up, trapping the prey securely, and will inject paralyzing spikes into the prey, leaving it unable to resist. Back then, Jiang Xuan suffered from the cage vine, so he has the deepest impression of this dangerous plant. The cage vine covers a large area, yet the people of the Vine tribe can freely enter and exit, not because the cage vine recognizes people, but because they have dug a long tunnel passing underground through the cage vine growth area. The opening of the tunnel is quite concealed and camouflaged. It's difficult to find for those not from the Vine tribe. Beside the tunnel, there are hidden sentries from the Vine tribe tasked with rotating guard duty daily. In case of emergency, they will blow horns. Upon Jiang Xuan's arrival, a spot covered in thorns suddenly opened, and two people emerged from inside. "Greetings, leader." It turns out that there's a large pit dug here, with wooden sticks woven into a barrier at the top covered with many living thorns. To enter or exit, one only needs to lift the barrier. Jiang Xuan asked, "Have you noticed anything unusual?" One of the sentries replied, "No, apart from occasional animals wandering in, we haven't seen anyone from other tribes." Jiang Xuan nodded and continued, "Thank you for your hard work." "It's not hard work. During rainy days, we have beast hides to shelter us. Food is delivered on time. And while everyone else is busy, we are resting here all day. We almost feel embarrassed." Jiang Xuan sternly stated, "You shouldn't feel embarrassed because you are guarding the entire tribe's safety. What you are doing is very important. If enemies come, only you can signal the tribe in time. Remember?" The two sentries nodded quickly. After Jiang Xuan's explanation, they finally understood the significance of their role here. "All right, continue watching here. I'll go check other places." After Jiang Xuan left, the two sentries climbed back into the pit, and the thorns covered them again, blending into the environment. If one didn't know there were people here, it would be hard to find this pit. Chapter 177, The Daily Life of the Vine Tribe. On April 6th, Jiang Xuan got up early and unexpectedly discovered that the ice lotus planted in the pond of the courtyard had grown a leaf curled into a cylindrical shape. It won't be long before it grows from underwater to the surface, finally unfolding into a large lotus leaf. Didn't expect it to actually grow. It seems this thing can grow outside the Great Swamp. I just don't know how the ice lotus grown here will differ from the ones of the beaver tribe. Jiang Xuan knew that many plants are selective about their growing locations. The saying goes, an orange grown in the south of the Huai River is an orange, while one grown north turns into a trifoliate orange. Many plants are like this. However, just being able to grow it is already very good. If the results aren't great, methods can be found to improve the growing environment in the future. For example, digging a very deep lake to simulate the environment over by the Great Swamp. If that still doesn't work, then the only option would be to trade ice lotus with the beaver tribe. Aside from the ice lotus, Most of the bell peppers and black pearl beans have also sprouted and grown into seedlings. If they bloom and bear fruit smoothly, in a few years, people of the vine tribe can all eat bell peppers and black pearl beans. Of course, the spicy flavor of peppers might not be liked by the tribal people, which would require long-term attempts to get accustomed to the unique taste. While Jiang Xuan was delighted at the growth of the plants in the courtyard, Gonsong rushed in, looking anxious. "Leader, something's wrong." "What happened?" "The red crystal rice submerged in the water in the paddy field has withered." "Let's go have a look." Jiang Xuan followed Gonsong and quickly walked to the water field in the farmland. When he reached the edge of the field, he indeed saw 2 stalks of red crystal rice, more than half a meter tall, already withered, their leaves drooping under the sun. Earlier, Jiang Xuan soaked the red crystal rice in water to germinate them successfully, and since red crystal rice likes wet conditions, he had Gonsong attempt to open a water field and plant them like rice. To be safe, Gonsong even built dikes with mud around the growing red crystal rice, flooding their roots with water. For the first 2 days, the red crystal rice showed no abnormalities, which made Gonsong quite happy, believing this method could succeed. Unexpectedly, 5 days later, the red crystal rice quickly withered. It seemed beyond saving. Jiang Xuan checked the 2 withered stalks of red crystal rice and pulled one up by the roots, carefully examining its root system. Jiang Xuan discovered many young roots of this red crystal rice were turning black and rotting. This indicated that although red crystal rice likes moisture, planting in water fields like rice doesn't work. Jiang Xuan said, "Since this method failed, let's ridge and cultivate, dig drainage channels, and plant like in other fields." When experimenting, you can't always succeed. Failures happen regularly. Luckily, only 2 stalks were lost, so it's not significant. Even though Jiang Xuan said this, Gonsong still felt a bit upset. He silently pulled up the other stalk of red crystal rice, saying, "There aren't any extra seeds to replant, so we'll just plant something else." Jiang Xuan laughed. "Don't worry. With the yield of red crystal rice, as long as there's a harvest this year, next year we'll not only have enough seeds, but everyone will be able to eat red crystal rice as well." The leader is right. I'll work hard to take care of the rest of the red crystal rice. Jiang Xuan said, "Come on, let's transform this water field so that it won't retain water." Gonsong hurriedly said, "Leader, we can do this ourselves." "It's fine. There's nothing urgent to do now anyways." Jiang Xuan grabbed a tool and immediately started working with Gonsong and others to mound, cultivate soil, and dig channels. These are tasks requiring physical effort. Jiang Xuan is always like this. Whenever he has free time, no matter the work, he's willing to work together with everyone rather than issue cold orders like a mouthpiece. As a leader, he doesn't use privilege to oppress men or women, nor does he have any heirs. When mistakes occur, he generously admits and corrects them. Because of this, Jiang Xuan enjoys the strong support of the Vine Tribe people. Although he's young, no one looks down on him because of it. After finishing the water field, Jiang Xuan went to the Feiyu River. After enduring numerous hardships and failures, the fishing team finally built their first wooden boat. This wooden boat was made from an entire section of giant wood. The front is sharper, the back more level, the bottom with some curvature and angles, with fish swim bladder glue filling the cracks and wormholes, and having 2 oars. The wooden boat is small, accommodating only 3 people at a time, much less in load capacity compared to the large bamboo raft. However, it is far superior in maneuverability and speed on the river, boasting excellent performance. On the Feiyu River, within a gentle flow water bay, Jiang Jie was diligently practicing rowing with a warrior from the fishing team. The warrior said, "Leader, why does our boat keep spinning?" Jiang Jie sat at the bow, looking at the oar in his hand, angrily saying, "This thing is not as useful as the bamboo pole." Although the boat has 2 oars, being accustomed to rowing bamboo rafts, Jiang Jie still took one oar to paddle while 2 other warriors watched. As Jiang Xuan walked to the riverbank, he saw Jiang Jie struggling to row, with the wooden boat spinning in place. The warrior on the boat shouted, "The leader is here." Jiang Jie got anxious. the leader was here, yet they couldn't control the wooden boat. Wasn't this making the leader laugh? Chapter 178, Daily Life in the Vine Tribe 2. So he desperately paddled, but the harder he paddled, the faster the wooden boat turned, barely moving forward. Jiang Xuan paddled for a while, then looked at Jiang Xuan in shame and said, "Leader, I'm useless." Jiang Xuan stood on the riverbank and replied with a smile, "You've overcome the difficulties of building a boat. Surely you can learn to row." Jiang Xuan pointed to another oar and said, "Each of you take in oar and sit side by side in the middle of the boat." The warrior on the boat immediately picked up an oar, sat side by side with Jiang Xuan in the middle, and waited for Jiang Xuan's next instructions. "Hold the oar correctly, like this palm of your hand. Rowing vertically won't work. You must row horizontally for strength, understand?" Jiang Xuan squatted down and demonstrated rowing with his palm in a simple and easy-to-understand way, helping them understand how to use the oars. Jiang Xuan and the warrior immediately adjusted their oars and continued to look eagerly at Jiang Xuan. Jiang Xuan said, "Now, both of you row together with synchronized movements. The two oars should enter the water almost simultaneously, not one fast and one slow." "All right, start rowing." At Jiang Xuan's command, Jiang Xuan and the warrior immediately began rowing simultaneously. Warriors often need to cooperate while hunting, so it's relatively easy for them to develop a tacit understanding. Initially, the speed of the two oars entering the water differed, but soon they became more in sync, their movements almost identical. Then they were surprised to find that the wooden boat, which had been spinning in place, was now moving straight forward. "That's great!" The warrior on the boat cheered excitedly. Jiang Xuan, who was sweating heavily, also felt relieved as he was no longer dizzy from the spinning. Still, just knowing how to advance wasn't enough. Jiang Xuan next instructed them on how to turn the wooden boat. Think about how you spun in place earlier. To turn, paddle faster with one oar and slower with the other, and the boat will turn. The two on the boat followed Jiang Xuan's instructions, attempting many times, and finally grasped the basic technique of turning the wooden boat. Jiang Xuan finally rowed the wooden boat back to the shore and dragged it onto land. If he had continued spinning in place as before, he would have had to shamefully call for a raft to tow the wooden boat back with a rope. Fortunately, under Jiang Xuan's guidance, they finally learned how to row. Jiang Xuan approached Jiang Xuan, bowed his head in shame, and said, "If it weren't for you, leader, I wouldn't know how long I would have kept spinning on the river." Jiang Xuan laughed and said, "Everything requires experience. Practice a bit more, and it will be fine. Now you're practicing with a small wooden boat. When the tribe grows stronger, we will build larger wooden boats. There's still so much to learn." The small wooden boat is ultimately limited in capacity. Jiang Xuan's goal is to build large sailing ships. Only true large sailing ships can travel long distances on the river and bring great benefits to the tribe. Of course, building large sailing ships is a massive project, much more difficult than these simple small wooden boats. Only when the tribe develops and grows strong, with enough manpower and materials and various technical talents, can larger sailing ships be attempted. Jiang Xuan shared a vision with Jiang Xuan of a future where the tribe had a large fleet navigating the river. Moved by Jiang Xuan's depiction of the future, Jiang Xuan looked at the small wooden boat differently, trying to imagine what it would look like with a sail added. However, with the current strength of the Vine tribe, this depiction is akin to drawing a pie in the sky. Even if the tribe can grow successfully, it would take a very long time. After painting the dream, Jiang Xuan left the Feiyu River and went to a special bamboo house on the outskirts of the living area by the creek. This bamboo house was not for living, but for making clothes, shoes, hats, and other items. Currently, the Vine tribe's attire consists mainly of beast hide and tree bark. Beast hide clothing is particularly warm, primarily worn in colder weather. Tree bark clothing is made from a type of tough bark, repeatedly pounded and woven, worn for its coolness in hotter weather. Initially, the Vine tribe didn't have tree bark clothing, only simple grass skirts. But amongst the group of wanderers brought by Jiang Xuan, there were a few whose original tribes had mastered the technique of making tree bark clothing. Jiang Xuan found their tree bark clothing to be excellent and later assigned some people to help them mass-produce tree bark clothing so that the tribal members could wear these cool clothes in hot weather. Thump, thump, thump. As Jiang Xuan walked to the bamboo house, several female tribe members were energetically pounding several pieces of tree bark with sticks. This tree bark is not only tough, but becomes softer after pounding, making it particularly suitable for making tree bark clothing. Hello, leader. As Jiang Xuan approached, these women greeted him promptly. Is Fu Ling here? Fu Ling is inside. Fu Ling is currently Go Tong's wife, known for her skill in making beast-hide clothing and her leadership ability. Jiang Xuan appointed her to manage this small primitive workshop. Jiang Xuan entered the yard where Fu Ling was soaking a long-tailed rabbit skin in lime water. The Vine tribe's farming has reached a certain scale, with long-tailed rabbits breeding in large quantities, now starting to supply a small portion for tribal consumption. Chapter 179, Daily Life of the Vine Tribe 3. The meat of the long-tailed rabbit was distributed among the tribe members to eat, while the beast hide with soft rabbit fur was naturally brought over here to make beast hide clothing. Fu Ling carefully scraped the residual meat off the long-tailed rabbit skin and then soaked it in a large pit filled with lime water for a period of time. Lime, in the soaking of beast hide, is more effective than plant ash. The Vine tribe didn't have lime before, but later Jiang Xuan discovered that the large amounts of snail and shellfish shells by the river would turn white after prolonged burning, quickly decompose after being dissolved in water, and transform into lime. Not only that, several blue-gray stones accidentally fell into the pottery kiln once, and after firing, they also turned into white lime blocks. With these two sources of lime, the Vine tribe started using lime. The beast hide soaked in lime would have all the bacteria and parasites killed. Moreover, after soaking in lime, the grease on the beast hide would be removed, and it would become softer. Fu Ling, how many long-tailed rabbit skins have been collected? Fu Ling, who was busy, looked up, saw Jiang Xuan approaching, and quickly replied, Leader, we've collected a total of 32 long-tailed rabbit skins now, half of which are already soaking, and the breeding team will continue slaughtering long-tailed rabbits. Since Jiang Xuan taught the tribe people numbers and simple calculation methods, half the tribe could now count things accurately. Jiang Xuan nodded and said, After soaking, the fallen rabbit fur can be collected. It might be useful later. Yes. Fu Ling wasn't sure what Jiang Xuan intended to do with the fallen rabbit fur, but she just followed the leader's instructions. Apart from what has already been distributed, how many pieces of tree bark clothing are left now? Leader, there are still 25 pieces. We are working hard to make more tree bark clothing. Jiang Xuan said, Good. Thank you for your hard work. Jiang Xuan checked the finished beast hide clothing and tree bark clothing and looked at the semi-finished products. Although it couldn't be considered abundant, it was much better than the other tribes. Subsequently, Jiang Xuan inspected various parts of the tribe. The entire Vine tribe was a scene of prosperity, full of vitality and vigor. Jiang Xuan felt great, and he was more confident about the future of the tribe. On April 7th, the hunting teams of the Crow tribe and Jackal tribe encountered each other in a forest. Thanks to Jiang Xuan's handiwork, the two sides started fighting immediately upon meeting without any words exchanged. This battle was fierce, with the Jackal tribe having the upper hand due to their larger numbers. The Crow tribe suffered a third of its members killed or wounded and fled in a sorry state. This small-scale skirmish didn't result in many casualties on either side, but marked the beginning of the war. From this day on, the Crow tribe and the Jackal tribe would have small-scale skirmishes every few days, each having victories and losses. Although they hadn't gone into full-scale war, the accumulated grievances deepened. Under these circumstances, the Jackal tribe couldn't spare any attention to trouble the Vine tribe. They concentrated most of their manpower against the Crow tribe, but dared not risk everything on a decisive battle with the Crow tribe. Given that the difference in strength between the two sides wasn't substantial, if a war broke out, even the winning side would suffer heavy losses, and if other tribes attacked at that time, it would be a disaster. Therefore, they were all waiting for an opportunity, a chance to wipe out the opposing tribe with relatively minimal losses. Yet, Jiang Xuan didn't want them to drag it out too long. He also sought an opportunity to give things a nudge. Chapter 180, Jackal Battles Crow. April 18th, the Crow tribe and Jackal tribe sent out most of their warriors to engage in several battles throughout the day over a forest. April 19th, both sides went all out. Even their totem gods joined the fray. Such commotion naturally attracted the attention of surrounding tribes, and the Mountain Turtle tribe was hoping they'd fight to the death. The Vine tribe, though further away, was aware of these two tribes' movements because Jiang Xuan had been monitoring the situation here. A great opportunity, the perfect opportunity. Jiang Xuan, riding Tang Yuan, saw the tribe's forces gathering in large numbers. He pondered for a moment before riding Tang Yuan back to the tribe. He needed to find assistance. Upon returning to the tribe, he first sought out the old witch, asking to borrow the giant eagle once again to transport Vine tribe warriors. The Crow tribe and Jackal tribe are about to fight. I'm going to take a look too. Upon hearing Jiang Xuan's news, the old witch immediately became spirited. He loved watching exciting events, especially tribal wars. Jiang Xuan said, "All right, but when the time comes, we might not be able to look after you, old man." The old witch waved his hand, saying, "Don't worry, I'll keep my distance when the time comes." Jiang Xuan knew the old witch looked ancient, seeming like he could be buried at any moment, but he had numerous means, so he said no more. Afterward, Jiang Xuan found Ferocious, asking him to bring strong warriors along. Without asking much, Ferocious picked the 5 strongest warriors from Hunting Team 2, took up weapons, and followed Jiang Xuan. Jiang Xuan explained affairs within the tribe briefly, then set off with Ferocious and the others towards the battlefield between the Crow and Jackal tribes. Screech. Soon, within the Vine tribe, the giant eagle took to the sky carrying the old witch, Ferocious, and others. Jiang Xuan continued riding Tang Yuan, heading towards the battlefield, keeping pace with the giant eagle. Upon reaching the forest's outskirts, the Crow tribe and Jackal tribe were in a standoff, tensions high, but not yet engaged in battle. The Crow god and Jackal god were present, the two totem gods facing each other from afar, imposing in their demeanor. The giant eagle and Tang Yuan landed on a nearby hilltop by the forest. Jiang Xuan dismounted, seeing countless crows circling above the forest. The largest was the Crow tribe's totem god. Jiang Xuan said to the old witch, "Old witch, enjoy the spectacle from here. We're going in." "Go ahead, take care." The old witch waved, watching as Jiang Xuan and the others plunged into the dense forest. Jiang Xuan led Ferocious and the others to the edge of the battleground and climbed into the thick trees to observe the situation. After watching for a while, Jiang Xuan said to Ferocious, "Though they're in a standoff, it doesn't mean they want to fight. They might wish to talk things over to clearly define territorial boundaries. For two tribes of equal strength, a full-scale war could result in mutual devastation, especially since the Crow and Jackal tribes already fought several battles. They naturally understood this. Posturing with troops could exert pressure for negotiations. Defining boundaries clearly to avoid frequent future clashes is the best choice." "Chief, what should we do?" Ferocious was limited by experience, not understanding why Jiang Xuan said this, but trusted his judgment. Jiang Xuan smiled. "If they really clarify boundaries, they might target our Vine tribe next, so we must make them fight. Only when two enemies are occupied with war can the Vine tribe have time to grow, perhaps even glean some benefits." Jiang Xuan pondered briefly, then said, "Everyone, paint the Crow tribe's totem pattern on yourselves." Jiang Xuan took out prepared paint, beast hide brush, and a beast skin from the beast hide bag. On the beast skin were traced totem patterns of the Crow tribe and Jackal tribe. He mixed the paint, then dipped the brush, following the Crow tribe's pattern on the beast skin scroll to paint on Ferocious and the 5 warriors' faces. Then, he had Ferocious paint him as well. When done, Jiang Xuan packed up, saying, "Follow me. We'll blend into the Crow tribe's ranks." The 7 of them sneaked closer to the Crow tribe's formation, appearing at their side, and hid temporarily. Currently, the situation of the two tribes was indeed, as Jiang Xuan guessed, having faced off for ages but not sparking a battle, with both tribal leaders coming forward to intimidate each other. I'll say it again, this place is closer to our Crow tribe. It's our Crow tribe's hunting ground. The Jackal tribe leader retorted. Nonsense, your Crow tribe has just been here a few days? This is clearly our Jackal tribe's hunting ground. Then, they exchanged all sorts of filthy language, attempting to claim more of the forest for their tribe's hunting ground. Their words were extremely intense, seemingly about to trigger a fight at any moment. Strangely, both tribes' witches kept silent, and the two totem gods merely stayed on guard, taking no action. Hidden at the Crow tribe's flank, Jiang Xuan, observing this scene, thought, swearing like this, once emotions are vented enough, it'd be time for a real negotiation. Jiang Xuan whispered to Shi Qiu beside him, a chance for revenge, find a good spot, aim at the Jackal tribe's leader, and shoot him. Chapter 181. Jackal vs. Raven 2. Shi Qiu nodded, then climbed to a higher place to find a position for shooting arrows. After he found a good spot, he immediately crouched down, took a deep breath, drew his bow, and nocked an arrow, aiming at the leader of the Jackal tribe. He had never forgotten how the hunting team, too, had managed to catch a wild cow and calf some time ago, only for them to be snatched away by the Jackal tribe. Now, the moment for revenge had come. Shi Qiu began to slowly draw his bow, ensuring his movements were very slow to avoid being detected, try not to make any noise. Due to the long distance, he could only aim at the leader's chest, and then, without hesitation, release the arrow. Whiz! The feathered arrow tore through the sky, speeding towards the leader of the Jackal tribe like lightning. The leader of the Jackal tribe, also a four-color warrior, had extremely keen senses. Even though his attention was focused on the leader of the Crow tribe, as the arrow flew towards him, he also felt danger approaching. But when he tried to dodge, it was already too late, and he only had time to turn slightly. Thud! The arrow struck the leader of the Jackal tribe. Although it missed a vital spot, due to his sidestep, half of the arrow still pierced into his chest. This turn of events was unexpected to everyone, including the leader of the Crow tribe, who was left baffled. At this moment, Jiang Xuan seized the opportunity to shout, "This forest has always been our hunting ground. The Jackal tribe has gone too far, attack." This arrow, coupled with Jiang Xuan's shout, instantly threw the two tribes into complete chaos. Charge, kill these damn crows. On the side of the Jackal tribe, because their leader was hit by the arrow, the warriors could no longer restrain themselves and directly charged with their jackals. Damn it! Who fired the arrow? Who shouted? The leader of the Crow tribe was hopping mad. This twist of events dashed any hopes of continuing negotiations, and since the warriors of the Jackal tribe were already charging, the Crow tribe had no choice but to brace for battle. At this point, there were no other options left. The hope now lay in winning this battle. The leader of the Crow tribe gritted his teeth and roared, "Charge!" Caw, caw, caw. A countless number of large crows swooped down as the tribal warriors of the Crow tribe charged madly, their sharp beaks and claws stained with blood. Those ferocious jackals were no less fierce, pouncing on the warriors of the Crow tribe, biting desperately. Even the Crow god and the Jackal god had no choice but to join the battle. The two tribes clashed fiercely in the forest. The battleground relentlessly claimed the lives of both warriors and battle pets. Meanwhile, Jiang Xuan, Shi Qiu, and others, after shouting a few more cries and symbolically shooting a few arrows, quickly retreated from the battlefield and ran towards the mountain peak where the old witch was located. When Jiang Xuan reached the mountain peak, the sound of the earth-shattering battle cries and the fierce clash between the two totem gods could still be heard from afar. The old witch sat on a huge rock, looking at Jiang Xuan with a somewhat complex expression, thinking that this kid, though young, had remarkable strategy. The old witch suddenly felt a bit relieved that the Eagle tribe was not in the southern wilderness. Otherwise, he might have considered wiping out this guy together with the Vine tribe ahead of time. Because at this rate, The Vine tribe has a powerful totem god and a cunning leader like Jiang Xuan. As long as there is no major accident, their rise is only a matter of time. The old witch muttered, "Let the major tribes of the southern wilderness worry about it." Jiang Xuan was watching the battle when he turned around and asked, "Old witch, what did you just say?" "Nothing." Jiang Xuan didn't pay much attention. The old witch was always mysterious, and it was common for him to mutter some inexplicable words. The war in the forest continued, with the battle between the crow god and the jackal god being the most intense, and no warrior or battle pet dared to approach their combat area. Boom! A large tree was cut down in the middle by the terrifying claws of the jackal god, crashing down. Pop! A huge rock was split into pieces instantly when the crow god clawed at it during a swoop. The battle between the two totem gods caused severe destruction, leveling a large area. Their powers were equally matched, making the battle extremely fierce. This battle lasted a long time, until both sides were covered in wounds and temporarily parted. Aside from the clash of the totem gods, the battle among the warriors was also extremely brutal, resulting in heavy casualties on both sides. In the end, the battle ended with the Crow tribe having a slight upper hand, forcing the Jackal tribe to retreat. Although they seemed to have won, the Crow tribe was far from happy, as they had lost hundreds of warriors, along with many injured and disabled warriors. In this primordial world, if the disabilities are too severe, it's better to die in battle, as the tribe doesn't have the means to support these people. Therefore, this war dealt a heavy blow to both the Jackal tribe and the Crow tribe, resulting in mutual destruction. On the way back, the leader of the Crow tribe gritted his teeth and said, "Let me find out who fired the arrow. I'll flay him alive." The leader of the Crow tribe was extremely frustrated. If it weren't for the sudden arrow and shout, this battle wouldn't have escalated so easily, and the two tribes might even have delineated their territories clearly. Now all their plans had fallen apart, and they suffered heavy losses. How could the leader of the Crow tribe not be furious? The battle is over. We should head back to. On the mountain peak, Jiang Xuan gleefully climbed onto Tang Yuan's back. The old witch and Xiao, along with others, still rode giant eagles. Soon, two giant birds took off, carrying them back towards the Vine tribe. Chapter 182, Jackal Battles Crow 3. Western Wilderness. The migration path of the Frog tribe turned out to be unexpectedly smooth. One reason is that Huameng from the Frog tribe is exceptionally tall, with 6 horizontal lines on his face. Most small tribes have never even heard of a 6-color warrior, so who would dare provoke him? Another reason is that although the Frog tribe isn't very strong in combat, they are extremely skilled in using poison. Every member of the tribe, regardless of age or gender, holds a blowgun. When encountering enemies, they immediately find a place to hide and then launch a precise ambush with their blowguns, often inflicting heavy casualties on the opponent with a single round. Relying on Huameng and their poisonous blowguns, the Frog tribe gradually made their way from the arid and desolate depths of the western wilderness to a forest with richer vegetation and a small lake. Splash! As soon as they entered the forest, those giant frogs eagerly jumped into the lake, soaking their skin before leaping back onto the shore like lightning. Snap! In the small lake, several gigantic fish leapt from the water, their mouths filled with sharp teeth, but they bit at nothing. Croak, croak, croak. The giant frogs croaked madly, evidently already aware that unfamiliar waters could be dangerous. Why jump in if they know it's dangerous? Because they need to drink water. Frog species don't drink water directly. They absorb the moisture needed through soaking their skin. Because of this, they would jump into the lake and then quickly leap out. This method of drinking seems effective, but also has a fatal flaw. Their skin loses moisture just as quickly. This is why many giant frogs chose not to migrate and stayed at the Divine Lake, because they would die of thirst on the way. However, the giant frogs that followed the tribe on the migration generally possess a unique ability. During droughts, their skin secretes a layer of oil that covers their bodies, preventing excessive water loss and protecting against sunburn. This unique ability allows these giant frogs to endure the scorching sun and droughts on their migration path. Beside the small lake, several Frog Tribe warriors raised their spears, preparing to pierce the big fish jumping out of the water when the giant frogs dive back in, using them as food. Other warriors focused on making fire, hunting, and staying on guard. Huameng and the witch sat under a large tree by the small lake, while warriors nearby worked hard to start a fire by drilling wood. This forest, after passing through numerous places, is the best one they've encountered yet, as most water sources are occupied by other tribes. Maybe this place is remote, or for some other reason, no other tribe has taken it yet. The Frog Tribe which asked, "Chief, should we settle here?" Since embarking on the migration, all major and minor decisions have been made by Huameng, the witch only handled identifying edible plants and healing warriors. Huameng looked at the forest and the small lake. This place indeed seemed good. However, he had not forgotten how dry their previous residence was. Beyond this forest, the vegetation was not dense either. Huameng gritted his teeth and said, "We will go to the southern wilderness." Huameng had heard from Jiang Xuan that the southern wilderness was filled with streams, lakes, and rivers, making it perfect for the Frog Tribe to live in. The southern wilderness, won't it be too far? The Frog Tribe which sighed, actually preferring to settle here. If they were to go to the southern wilderness, who knows how long that would take? Besides, the journey is long and the road filled with dangers. No matter how difficult, we must go. The western wilderness is not suitable for the Frog Tribe. If we stay here, it might not be long before we are forced to migrate again. Huameng was very firm in his resolve, and he trusted his judgment. The Witch of the Frog Tribe looked a bit melancholy, but said nothing more. Chapter 183, Stone Artifact Master. In the forest south of the Vine Tribe, 6 youths were carefully escorting an elder. The elder's hair and beard were all white, but his spirit was excellent, and a horizontal mark on his face showed he was a one-color warrior. Not many people in the tribe live to old age. Because the environment is too harsh, not only are there shortages of clothing and food, but once people grow old, their physical functions decline and the chances of getting sick become very high. In such a harsh environment, once contracted with sickness, if the tribes which possesses powerful witch doctor techniques, they might survive. If the tribes which is incompetent, survival depends solely on fate. Another issue is that as warriors age, their strength gradually diminishes. Even if you're a formidable 5-color warrior, when you age and become weak, you might become a 2-color warrior or even a 1-color warrior. If you become even older and frail, you may not even be able to draw a single mark on your face. This elder, at such an advanced age, can still maintain the strength of a 1-color warrior, which shows he was once a powerful warrior. From the way those 6 youths were carefully protecting him, it's evident that the elder holds a high status. When they reached Thunder Mountain in front of the Vine Tribe, they saw a giant stone with a totem pattern painted with mineral pigments. At the same time, a pair of eyes from the thickets were watching their every move. One of the youths exclaimed excitedly, "It's a totem pattern. We've really found a tribe." The others were also very excited because reaching here was already very challenging. Many had died along the way, and if they continued, they feared they all might perish. This is the sorrow of wanderers. After losing the tribe's protection, it's exceedingly difficult to survive in the dangerous jungle. The 6 youths immediately wanted to move forward, but the elder stopped them. "Don't go in." The 6 youths looked back at the elder, clearly not understanding why he stopped them. The elder said, "Many tribes set numerous traps around for safety. If you recklessly charge in, you won't even know how you died. Then, what should we do?" The youths realized, and they all looked at the elder, hoping he would make a decision. The elder said, "Shout out, call for the tribe's people. If they're willing to accept us, they'll naturally lead us inside. If they're not willing, we'll have to avoid the tribe's territory." One of the youths immediately shouted, "Is anyone there? We are wanderers seeking refuge." After shouting, looking at the empty forest, he felt it was unlikely anyone would respond. Yet, at this moment, a voice suddenly echoed from not far away, "Wait where you are." The 6 youths looked at the still, desolate forest, feeling eerie, as they had no clue where the person was hiding. At this moment, They were immensely grateful for following the elder's advice and not recklessly charging in, or else they might truly die without knowing why. In the forest, the responder was a hidden sentry from the Vine tribe. He was hidden in a pit in the thicket, and after shouting, he quickly traversed a section of the tunnel beside the pit, then emerged from a very concealed large rock, passing the news to the next person, who then relayed the news back to the tribe. Soon, Jiang Xuan received the news of the wanderer's arrival. Go have a look. The food in the Vine tribe is not scarce now. It's quite feasible to accept a few wanderers. Jiang Xuan set out, and Nanxing immediately brought 20 warriors from the guard team along, not only to protect the leader, but also to show the wanderers the tribe's strength. When Jiang Xuan arrived at Thunder Mountain, those wanderers had already been waiting anxiously. The only exception was the elder, who appeared very calm. Jiang Xuan walked to the front of these wanderers and said, "This is the Vine tribe. I'm Xuan, the leader of the Vine tribe." Nanxing and others stood behind Jiang Xuan, holding weapons, watching those wanderers vigilantly. The wanderers were somewhat stunned after hearing Jiang Xuan's words because Jiang Xuan was very young, even younger than themselves. More astonishingly, his face had 4 horizontal marks, meaning at such a young age, he was a powerful 4-color warrior. Even the elder was amazed. He had lived for so many years, yet had never seen such a young 4-color warrior. Jiang Xuan was accustomed to others' reactions upon hearing he was the leader. He continued, "Do you wish to join our Vine tribe?" As he said this, Jiang Xuan specifically looked at the elder. Although the elder had a horizontal mark still, he was too old. In any other tribe, he would likely be directly refused entry. The elders said, "We indeed wish to join the Vine tribe, begging Chief Xuan to take us in." Jiang Xuan pointed to the young wanderers, saying, "These few are naturally no problem, but for you, you'll need to give me a reason to accept you." It's not that Jiang Xuan was unfeeling. If he randomly took an old wanderer back to the tribe's people would likely object. After all, the older he is, the less work he can do, and if he has no special skills, he would be a burden to the tribe. If he were one of the tribe's elders, it would be different, as he had once contributed to the tribe. Chapter 184, Stone Artifact Master 2. But he is a wanderer, temporarily having no connection with the Vine tribe. The young wanderers got anxious. They wanted to speak up to plead, asking Jiang Xuan to let the old man stay. However, the old man once again reached out to stop them and walked over to Jiang Xuan himself, saying, "Chief Xuan, I can make stone tools. I won't eat for free." Yes, Chief Xuan, Grandpa Blackstone, makes very beautiful stone tools. Indeed, the young wanderers echoed, striving to tell Jiang Xuan how good and durable the stone tools made by the old man named Blackstone were. Jiang Xuan asked in surprise, "Are you a stone artifact master?" "Sort of." Old Blackstone asked the young wanderers to put down 2 beast-hide bags, untied the bag openings, revealing a large amount of stone tool polishing equipment inside, such as stone hammers, stone nails, stone chisels, stone drills. Jiang Xuan felt his eyes widen, having never seen so many professional stone tools before. The Vine tribe stone tool crafting was simply crude smashing, beating, then vigorous grinding. Someone equipped with such a large number of tools was incredibly rare. Jiang Xuan suddenly realized that the tribesmen in this world had existed for a very long time. Although still in the primitive age, they had accumulated much technology and experience. For instance, witch doctor techniques, skills in polishing stone and bone tools, etc., far deeper than he imagined. The Vine tribe is currently lacking these professional talents. Noticing this heap of professional tools and the thick calluses on old Blackstone's hands, Jiang Xuan immediately said, "The Vine tribe can temporarily shelter you, but whether you can join will depend on your performance." "Thank you, Chief Xuan, for taking us in." Jiang Xuan's words let the young wanderers breathe a sigh of relief. The old man's expression was relatively calm, obviously having experienced a lot and becoming quite composed. "Let's go, follow me." Jiang Xuan led these 7 wanderers into the forest, proceeding along a specific route. Passing the cage vine area, They even crawled through a tunnel. On this journey, at Jiang Xuan's casual directions, these wanderers saw numerous terrifying traps and horrific plants. This made them very grateful for not recklessly venturing in. When they emerged from the forest, a vast expanse of farmland came into view, where many Vine tribe members worked. More than 100 houses of various sizes, neatly arranged. Most astounding was the enormous divine vine winding around Stone Mountain and the giant dragonflies that occasionally flew by, stirring up fierce winds. They were shocked to find this small tribe was unlike any other tribe, feeling incredibly powerful. Old Blackstone, upon seeing the Vine tribe, was finally moved as well. Though not large in scale, it was definitely the most unique tribe he had ever seen. Jiang Xuan took them to a newly built empty room on the right side of the tribe and said to them, "You will stay here for now. Rest today. Food will be delivered. Work starts tomorrow. Additionally, atop Stone Mountain is our Vine tribe's guardian god. Remember, you must not offend the god, or you will be expelled from the tribe." The wanderers nodded, indicating they understood. Jiang Xuan then said to Old Blackstone, "Old man, if you can show me your stone polishing skills, I will consider letting you live alone in a house, allowing you to focus on stone tool making without needing to do other work." Old Blackstone nodded without hesitation and said, "Sure, but I'll need to select a piece of stone material first." Jiang Xuan instructed Nanxing, "Go get some good stone materials." "Yes." Nanxing, accompanied by 2 warriors, immediately ran to the Vine tribe's stone material storage, picked out several stones of varying sizes, and delivered them to Old Blackstone. Jiang Xuan said, "Old man, now that we have stone materials, can you demonstrate your stone tool polishing skills?" Old Blackstone squatted on the ground, selected a palm-sized flat stone, and said, "Polishing large stone tools takes a lot of time. Since Chief Xian wants to watch, I'll polish some arrowheads." "All right." Jiang Xuan found a wooden stump to sit on beside him, preparing to watch how Old Blackstone polished stone tools. Old Blackstone opened the 2 beast-hide bags and then took out a stone hammer, a rather rough stone, and several tools Jiang Xuan couldn't understand the function of. "Chief Xian, can we start a fire in the fire pit now?" Jiang Xuan nodded. "Of course, Nanxing, go get some firewood and tinder." Nanxing immediately brought people to a nearby inhabited house, collected tinder from the fire pit, and brought a pile of dry firewood and bamboo. Then, they started a fire in the fire pit in the center of the room. The young wanderers also eagerly came to help. Starting a fire was a familiar task to the tribespeople, and most could do it well. Old Blackstone carefully rubbed the palm-sized stone material, observed the patterns on it, then threw the stone into the fire pit to burn. Watching the stone in the fire, he explained to Jiang Xuan, "This stone material is quite hard. Striking directly would break it into pieces. It's difficult to chip useful stone flakes. Burning it with fire makes it a lot easier." Jiang Xuan nodded, remaining silent, motioning for him to continue. Old Blackstone used an in-charred yet very hard wooden stick to occasionally turn the stone in the fire. Chapter 185. Stone Artifact Master 3. When he felt the stone was heated sufficiently, he instructed a young wanderer to fetch a bag of water. Then, with 2 wooden sticks, he pulled the scorching stone material from the fire pit, placed it outside the house, and poured water over it. Sizzle. A great amount of white steam emerged as the hot stone was doused with water. The elder Blackstone finished pouring a pot of water and promptly picked up the still warm stone material, returned inside, sat by the fire pit, holding the stone in his left hand and the stone hammer in his right, beginning to strike along the stone's grain. Every strike from Elder Blackstone opened cracks in the stone material. After a few precise hammer blows, the first thin stone flake was completely peeled off, reminiscent of peeling a garlic clove. As the striking sounded continuously, a piece of stone the size of a palm gradually transformed into over a dozen sharp-edged stone flakes and a small amount of waste material. Such a skilled technique left Jiang Xuan feeling amazed. And this was only the beginning. After crafting the stone material into flakes, Elder Blackstone switched to a smaller stone hammer. Placing the flakes on a large stone, carefully striking them into rough arrowhead shapes. Each strike was made with full confidence, shaping the stone flakes into the desired form with minimal waste. This seemingly simple task actually requires decades of unwavering practice and exceptional talent to perfect. Upon completing this, Elder Blackstone put down the stone hammer, poured some water on the rough stone, and finally sharpened the arrowhead edges, making them sharp and orderly, much like honing a blade. Jiang Xuan now believed that this elder was truly a stone artifact master, and a very skilled one at that. Having crafted stone arrowheads himself, Jiang Xuan realized the difficulty in achieving precision strikes to form the desired shape. The Vine tribe, numbering more than 500, originating from numerous small tribes that had been vanquished, lacked anyone capable of striking stone flakes to desired forms as Elder Blackstone could. In their attempts to make stone tools, they often had to go through multiple trials, selecting suitable materials from the process, and then slowly proceeding with crafting. Even so, the tools produced were merely barely usable. Yet Elder Blackstone transformed the action of striking stone flakes into art. Simple arrowheads were crafted beautifully and practically, without wasting stone material. This is a true stone artifact master. When Elder Blackstone handed the first polished arrowhead to Jiang Xuan, seeing the precise shape and sharp edges, he found it as pleasing as an exquisite piece of art. Jiang Xuan then passed the arrowhead to Nanxing and others, who praised it highly, as the arrowhead polished by Elder Blackstone was far superior to anything they had crafted. Jiang Xuan said, "Elder's craftsmanship is exceptional. The Vine tribe will not let your skills go unnoticed. From today, you will have an independent house devoted solely to crafting stone tools for the tribe." Elder Blackstone, neither haughty nor humble, replied, "Thank you, Leader Xuan." Jiang Xuan immediately arranged for a rather good empty house dedicated to Elder Blackstone's residence, where he could craft stone tools, and provided him with some daily supplies. From that day on, rhythmic striking and grinding sounds emanated frequently from that house, and the tribal members of Vine Tribe understood that a true stone artifact master had joined their ranks. The 6 young wanderers, witnessing the generous treatment of Elder Blackstone, developed a strong affinity for the Vine Tribe and worked diligently for them. Chapter 186, Mud Brick Thatch Cottage. The Crow Tribe and the Jackal Tribe were busy feuding with each other, but neither could destroy the other. Meanwhile, the Vine Tribe gained a period of relative stability, which allowed them to focus on developing their community and strengthening their capabilities. Peaceful days always pass quickly, and in the blink of an eye, several months have gone by. September 5th. Vine tribe altar. Moo. 5 young wild oxen were tightly bound and placed on the altar, where they cried out in panic and confusion. Chi Shao stood in the center of the altar, using ancient, cryptic incantations to pray to the vine god for the taming of these young oxen. Buzz! On Stone Mountain, the divine vine emitted a green glow, with tendrils hanging down from the mountain to quickly envelop the young oxen. Before long, the young oxen stopped their frantic cries. When the tendrils retracted, the 5 young oxen struggled a bit, then opened their innocent big eyes to gaze at the crowd below the altar. Each of their foreheads was marked with a faint totem symbol of the Vine Tribe. Jiang Xuan said from below the altar, "Go and carry them down." Yes. Warrior Shurchio and others excitedly walked to the altar and carried the 5 young oxen to the open ground in front of the altar. Jiang Xuan then said, "Undo the ropes." Following his words, Shurchio and others untied the ropes, and the 5 young oxen immediately stood up, curiously surveying their surroundings, their eyes devoid of fear. Jiang Xuan marveled inwardly. The taming speed is incredibly fast. If relying on manual taming, who knows how many years it would take to achieve this level. These young oxen were captured by Hunting Team 2 and, without any mishaps this time, successfully brought back to the tribe to be tamed by the Vine God. Of course, the Vine Tribe can't always rely on the totem god for this task. After the first generation of wild oxen are raised, they will give birth to calves, which will become the second generation of oxen. Taming the second generation of oxen into working cattle will require the Vine tribe members' own efforts. In addition to the 5 young oxen, 6 adult great horned deer were also sent to the altar, where they were tamed into mounts by the Vine god. The Vine tribe now has over 100 such great horned deer. These great horned deer will become powerful steeds for the Vine tribe, joining the tribal warriors in hunting and charging into battle. After the taming of the young oxen and great horned deer was complete, Jiang Xuan and others offered some sacrifices to thank the Vine god for their assistance. All right, take these young oxen to the planting team, and you could take the great horned deer back yourselves. Yes, Chiu and the warriors of hunting team, too, led the young oxen and great horned deer away, looking forward to the new changes these animals would bring to the tribe. Xiao and Jiang Xuan cleaned up the altar together, as there were some remnants of the sacrifices left by the divine vine. After finishing up, Xiao returned to his yard to continue his work, while Jiang Xuan headed to the farmland. After half a year of diligent work, the red crystal rice is finally nearing maturity. Looking around, the red crystal rice, standing 3 to 4 meters tall, stretches across the fields, with the purple-red thick stalks and leaves prominently visible, with clusters of plump red grains hanging down, looking delightful. Due to accumulated planting experience and extensive use of compost, pond mud, and crushed beast bones, each stalk's yield is higher than last year. After this year's harvest, the Vine tribe will no longer need to save all the red crystal rice for seeds and can allocate a large portion for consumption. If they can achieve another bumper harvest next year, the Vine tribe could potentially sustain half of their population solely with red crystal rice. In addition to the red crystal rice, other tuber crops like round potatoes, stone eggs, and huangjing are growing quite well, anticipated to provide a truly bountiful harvest. Gonsong and Jiang Xuan walked along the farmland path, enthusiastically saying, "Leader, this year we've increased the planting team's manpower and the yield has increased too. I think those 2 granaries will definitely be insufficient." Jiang Xuan laughed and said, "You mean you want me to build more granaries, right?" Gonsong, full of confidence, replied, "Exactly, we definitely need more granaries." Looking at the almost mature crops filling the field, Jiang Xuan readily agreed. "All right, let's build more granaries, a very large granary. Leader, our harvest will surely fill the new granaries to the brim. Then I'll wait and see." Jiang Xuan wasn't merely placating Gonsong. Upon leaving the fields, he immediately started preparing for the construction of granaries. Previously, the Vine tribe's houses were made using bamboo and wood as building materials. Because these materials are easily accessible, houses can be constructed quickly. However, the drawbacks of such houses are equally apparent. Under the effects of wind, sun, rain, and snow, along with the invasion of many pests, they deteriorate rapidly. The original bamboo house that Jiang Xuan and 5 companions initially built has now been reinforced multiple times and might collapse someday. Bamboo wooden structures, unless coated with several layers of tung oil to prevent insect damage and cracking, and covered with tiles for sun and rain protection, cannot last long. But given the Vine tribe's current struggle to only meet basic living needs, building such houses is clearly impossible. Therefore, Jiang Xuan has been pondering how to construct houses that are sturdy and durable, require no technical expertise, and have easily accessible raw materials. He first thought about rammed earth walls, using soil as the primary material, reinforced with strong wooden strips as reinforcement, compacted with heavy tamping, and dried to become very solid and weather-resistant. But the problem arose. Constructing rammed earth walls requires tools, and even the simplest mortise and tenon structure boards are beyond the Vine tribe's capabilities. Chapter 187, Mud Brick Thatched House 2. Now let's talk about tiles. Jiang Xuan can fire pottery, so firing tiles is naturally not a problem either. However, the number of tiles needed for a single house is enormous. With just a few small kills of the Vine tribe, it would probably take an incredibly long time to fire enough tiles for one house. and the Vine tribe currently has at least 100 houses, requiring an extremely large number of tiles. Therefore, the idea of earth and tile houses is temporarily abandoned. Once the Vine tribe becomes stronger in the future, it may be worth trying. However, Jiang Xuan thought of another type of house, whose manufacturing process is much simpler than that of earth and tile houses, and it is also quite sturdy. That is a clay brick and straw house. Clay bricks are made by mixing soil with plant stalks, shaping them into long rectangular bricks, and allowing them to dry. They become very sturdy and can be directly used to build walls. The process of making a thatched roof is also not complicated. You just need to set up beams, then tie broad bamboo strips into a grid pattern and layer by layer bind straw to form the roof. If possible, you can also cover the roof with several layers of bark, which has much better waterproofing than straw alone. The Vine tribe does not lack soil, plant stalks, straw, or bark, fully having the conditions to build clay brick and straw houses. Even for making simple mold for clay bricks, Jiang Xuan can use fire clay to make a few solid clay molds instead of wooden boards. Tasks like painstakingly planting wooden boards and fitting joinery are still simpler for Jiang Xuan than firing ceramic molds. Upon realizing this, Jiang Xuan immediately began preparing to build a solid and spacious clay brick and straw house to serve as the new warehouse for the Vine tribe. The first task is to make the clay brick molds. Considering that ceramic products are relatively fragile, Jiang Xuan planned to make 10 molds, allowing more people to make clay bricks together, and it would be acceptable if 1 or 2 broke. He first found some rope, using a short piece as a reference, and applied the Pythagorean theorem, the principle of 3-4-5 right triangle, to mark out a right angle on the ground. Based on this angle, he drew 3 more right angles to form a relatively regular rectangle. Then, he brought in clay prepared earlier, kneaded it into rough forms for the clay brick molds, and placed them within the marked rectangle on the ground, continuously adjusting the angles. This work is crucial. If the clay brick molds are poorly made, the subsequent clay bricks would be crooked and making a stable wall would be difficult. To prevent severe deformation of the molds, he made them very thick. Once the angle was adjusted properly, they would not deform unless cracked. Subsequently, he used the same method to make 9 more molds and let them dry in place to prevent deformation during movement. A day later, the surfaces of the molds dried and took form. Jiang Xuan moved them indoors to continue drying in the shade. The process of drying in the shade needs to last 6 to 7 days. Without proper drying, steam expansion during kiln firing could cause the ceramics to crack. When he looked at those 10 clay brick molds, he felt a particularly remarkable sense of satisfaction. While waiting for them to dry, Jiang Xuan brought in over 10 warriors to level a higher piece of land and had them collect and dry a substantial number of reeds. Ordinary straw is light and easily blown away by strong winds, but reeds are different. They are not easily blown away, and because they are tall, making roofs with them doesn't require layer-by-layer binding like ordinary straw, making it convenient and practical. Most importantly, there's an abundant reed field by the Feiyu River, providing plenty of materials. 7 days later, the clay brick molds were thoroughly dried. Jiang Xuan put the 10 molds into 2 kilns and fired them all night long. The next day, after the kiln temperature dropped, Jiang Xuan opened the kilns and obtained 9 successfully fired clay brick molds, though one inexplicably cracked. With the level ground, the molds, the reeds, and some leftover wood from building houses, Jiang Xuan could finally commence the construction of the new granary. Jiang Xuan gathered over 10 warriors to dig up clay, mix in plant stalks and mud, then pack them tightly into molds to form clay bricks. A few days later, they had manufactured enough clay bricks to build a house. Once the clay bricks were dried, they could build the house. Jiang Xuan followed his plan to dry the clay bricks, then build the walls by mixing earth and lime to use as cement, bonding the clay bricks together. After building the walls, they used thick wood as columns and beams to support the new granary's roof. On top of the roof, bamboo strips were bound to the beams in a grid pattern and covered with 2 layers of sturdy bark. Finally, they neatly bound large amounts of reeds to the roof, laying 2 or 3 layers continuously, finishing the roof. After spending nearly a month under the efforts of Jiang Xuan and over 10 warriors, a brand new clay brick and straw house was finally completed. This straw house is 3 meters high and covers approximately 100 square meters. Though relatively rough, amid the large area of low and simple bamboo and wooden houses, it truly stands out as a mansion. When the new granary was completed, Qi Shao, the old witch, Gotung, and many warriors of the Vine tribe all stood in front of the house, staring dazedly at the brand new building. Chapter 188, Mud Brick Thatch Cottage 3. The old witch exclaimed, "Who would believe that these houses could be built by a small tribe?" In fact, the old witch had traveled to many places and had never seen houses like these. Nanxing eagerly asked Jiang Xuan, "Chief, can we all live in such nice houses in the future?" Jiang Xuan smiled and said, "Of course, in the future we can all live in big, sturdy houses." Qi Shao said, "I really hope that day comes soon." Everyone nodded, all looking forward to the day when they too could live in such strong and spacious houses. Gonsong was the most excited because he hadn't expected that when the chief said to build a new grain warehouse, he would indeed build one, and it was even better than all the existing houses. The new grain warehouse was already completed, and next, it depended on whether the harvested crops could fill this new grain warehouse, along with the 2 old ones. After seeing the new grain warehouse, Gonsong immediately returned to the fields to work. The autumn harvest had already begun. Many early maturing vegetables and grains were being harvested, dried, and then stored in the warehouse. The red crystal rice plants were tall and had a very high yield. Although their growth cycle was a bit long, they had matured in the last couple of days and could now be harvested. After the new grain warehouse was built, Jiang Xuan also immediately joined the busy autumn harvest. However, he first harvested the crops planted in his own yard. The colorful peppers, which had matured completely, had already been picked 3 times, yielding a lot of seeds that were dried and stored in small pottery jars. Moreover, the colorful peppers were still flowering and fruiting, and it seemed they could continue harvesting until it snowed. The black pearl beans had also matured. These beans, the size of quail eggs, resembled black pearls and were different from what Jiang Xuan had imagined. They turned out to be vines. To give them support to climb, Jiang Xuan stuck some large tree branches where the black pearl beans were planted. Now, the pods of the black pearl beans had dried up, and some had even cracked open. Jiang Xuan picked all the pods from one black pearl bean plant and ended up filling half a beast-hide bag with beans, estimating their weight to be 5 to 6 pounds, which was an unbelievably high yield. When he finished harvesting dozens of black pearl bean plants, he ended up filling several large beast-hide bags, which made him very pleased. Jiang Xuan exclaimed, "The yield of crops in this world is truly astonishing." However, on second thought, he realized that the animals in this world were very large, and even the insects were absurdly big. Without these high-yield plants, they would really struggle to survive. Besides colorful peppers and black pearl beans, Jiang Xuan also planted some vegetables and spices, and he harvested all that could be harvested. Finally, there were the ice lotus roots in the pool. The ice lotus had already produced several pods, which Jiang Xuan collected, not knowing if planting those lotus seeds would yield results. Besides the lotus pods, the most important part in the mud was the lotus roots. Jiang Xuan did not dig up all the lotus roots because he hoped these ice lotus roots could continue to grow next year. Jiang Xuan walked barefoot into the pool, first using a large pottery jar to scoop out the water from the pool, then followed the stem of the ice lotus, reaching into the mud to find a root. Crack! Jiang Xuan snapped off one ice lotus root and picked it up. He washed it clean at the flowing bamboo pipe before taking a close look. Really beautiful. This piece of ice lotus root evidently grew this year. It was quite tender, semi-transparent, and as beautifully crafted as a crystal sculpture, though a bit on the small side. Let's taste it and see how it is. Jiang Xuan used a stone knife to cut off a piece of ice lotus root and then took a bite. However, the next moment, his eyebrows slightly furrowed. It doesn't seem as tender or as sweet as the beaver tribe's ice lotus roots. Jiang Xuan took a few more bites, and found it indeed not as tasty as the ice lotus roots produced by the beaver tribe, nor did he feel the invigorating rush from eating it. Feeling a bit disappointed, Jiang Xuan said, "It seems this thing can't be grown just anywhere. I'll try digging a lake next year." He placed the remaining ice lotus roots aside, then repositioned the flowing bamboo pipe back above the pool and continued with other tasks. Chapter 189, Joint Attack on the Crow Tribe. After the autumn harvest, the vine tribe acquired a vast amount of grain, coupled with collected edible tubers and a large quantity of wild fruits. 3 large granaries were completely filled. Adding the vast number of livestock raised, along with fishing and hunting yields, the vine tribe's food resources were truly abundant. At the beginning of October, the vine tribe held a grand ritual. To enhance the tribe's strength, more than 200 people from the rock sheep tribe joined the ritual, not only becoming true members of the vine tribe, but also elevating many to the rank of warrior. After the ritual, the weather gradually turned colder, and it wouldn't be long before winter arrived. It was at this time that Jiang Xuan made a significant decision, which was to attack the Crow tribe. Over half a year, the Crow tribe and Jackal tribe fought countless times, significantly diminishing their strength. After autumn, however, both sides suddenly ceased hostilities, because they needed to stockpile food and supplies for the winter. Continuing to fight would mean neither would survive the harsh season. Thus, the Crow tribe and Jackal tribe tacitly agreed to a temporary truce and focused on preparing winter supplies. Following the ceasefire, both tribes frantically plundered nearby resources, even annihilating several small tribes not protected by Totem God. If they continued this plunder, it wouldn't be long before they regained strength, perhaps even becoming stronger than before. Once winter passed, even with the protection of the vine god, the vine tribe would struggle to defend those hunting grounds, severely shrinking their living space. Therefore, the vine tribe must retaliate, and do so while the two tribes have yet to recover. Why not attack the Jackal tribe, which is closer to us? In the bamboo grove courtyard, Qi Xiao asked Jiang Xuan in confusion. Because the Crow tribe has offended more tribes. Jiang Xuan explained, if we attack the Jackal tribe, we can only rely on our own few hundred warriors, but by attacking the Crow tribe, we can rally the Mountain Turtle tribe and Beaver tribe to join the assault. When the time comes, perhaps the Jackal tribe will also take a shot at the Crow tribe. With so many tribes united in attack, the Crow tribe will find it hard not to be wiped out. Once the Crow tribe is eliminated, we can gradually deal with the Jackal tribe without haste. Jiang Xuan's words enlightened Qi Xiao. The Crow tribe indeed had too many enemies. After the snowfall, the giant dragonflies will also freeze to death, so we must act quickly. There is one more thing Jiang Xuan didn't mention. That is, after the snow falls, the power of the divine vine might be weakened, possibly even falling into dormancy. Though the divine vine is incredibly powerful, it is ultimately still a plant and cannot escape the influence of seasons and weather for now. Jiang Xuan said, "Sister, I'm going to visit the Mountain Turtle tribe and Beaver tribe. You organize the warriors in the tribe, prepare for battle. None of weapons, dry rations, clothing, and medicine can be lacking." Qi Xiao nodded solemnly. "All right, I will lead the warriors to prepare thoroughly." Then I'm reassured. Jiang Xuan hurriedly left Qi Xiao's courtyard, returned to his own, prepared some gifts, and immediately rode Tang Yuan towards the Mountain Turtle tribe. Last summer, they wiped out the Mosquito tribe. This year, Jiang Xuan hopes to also wipe out the Crow tribe. After Jiang Xuan left, Qi Xiao immediately organized all the people of the Vine tribe for battle preparations. Weapons, dry rations, clothes, medicine, and other necessities must be well prepared. Moreover, to prevent any surprise attacks after they set out, all of the Vine tribe supplies were quietly relocated across the Feiyu River, hidden in the caves of the Big Mountain. Those ordinary tribe members with weak fighting ability, as well as the old, weak, sick, and disabled, would also take refuge in the caves temporarily. This way, even if someone attempts a surprise attack after the Vine tribe warriors set out, they would gain nothing. The entire Vine tribe entered into a tense atmosphere. All warriors seized the moment to make more tools. At this time, Blackstone, the stone artifact master, became the most popular person. Because the arrowheads, stone knives, stone spears, and other weapons he crafted were very useful, much better than those crafted by the warriors themselves. Thus, many warriors brought gifts to Blackstone, hoping he would forge more weapons for them. The most leisurely person was the old witch. The old man kept saying he was close to his end, even meticulously preparing a large beast hide for his burial. But 2 years have passed, and he remains vigorous and bright, showing no signs of nearing earth. After Blackstone arrived, the old witch often visited him, watching him polish various stone and bone tools, sometimes chatting and eating meat together. Southern Wilderness, Mountain Turtle Tribe. Air. The purple Tang Yuan descended from the sky, landing outside the Mountain Turtle Tribe. The giant mountain turtles had seen Tang Yuan before, thus only glanced up and continued crawling slowly on the ground or basking in the sun. When idle, these giant mountain turtles always appeared sluggish, but when faced with danger or battle, they could run lightning fast. Jiang Xuan dismounted from Tang Yuan's back, instructing it to wait outside, then entered the mountain turtle tribe alone. Arriving at the gate of the stockade wall, Jiang Xuan said to the gate-guarding warriors, "I wish to meet your leader." The gate-guarding warriors recognized Jiang Xuan, and one immediately went in to report to Shan Jia. Soon after, Shan Jia came out in a beast-hide clothing, warmly greeting Jiang Xuan from afar. "Leader Xuan, welcome to the Mountain Turtle Tribe." Jiang Xuan sized up Shan Jia, smiling. "Leader Shan Jia, why aren't you wearing turtle shells today?" Chapter 190. Joint attack on the Crow Tribe 2. The previous times they met, Shan Jia always wore a heavy turtle shell, making him look like a humanoid giant turtle, somewhat comical. But today, he only wore beast hide clothing. Turtle shell is very heavy. It's more comfortable to wear beast hide clothing when not going out. That's true. Laughing and chatting, the two entered the Mountain Turtle Tribe and went to Shan Jia's large house. "Xian leader, the weather has turned cold, and mushrooms aren't growing, so we can't have bone marrow skewers today. But no worries, we can have dried mushroom stew." Shan Jia cleaned a pottery cauldron, which was traded from the Vine Tribe. Then he put beast meat, dried mushrooms, and water into the cauldron, covered it, and let it simmer. After doing all this, Shan Jia asked, "Xian leader, what brings you to the Mountain Turtle Tribe today?" Jiang Xuan had come alone and didn't bring any goods, clearly not here for trading. Jiang Xuan calmly took out a small bag of salt from a beast hide bag and handed it to Shan Jia, saying, "New salt, a gift for you to try." Shan Jia opened the bag and found it was filled with salt. He exclaimed in surprise, This is too valuable. It's okay, we're friends, just accept it." Shan Jia wanted to refuse, but Jiang Xuan had given so much salt that he instinctively accepted it, unable to refuse. "Well then, thank you, Xian leader." After Shan Jia accepted the salt, the smile on his face became more sincere. After giving the gift, Jiang Xuan finally broached the main topic. "Actually, I came here to discuss something important with Leader Shan Jia." "Xian leader, feel free to speak. If I can help, I certainly will." Shan Jia, not being foolish, didn't agree immediately just because he had received the gift. Jiang Xuan got straight to the point. "How about attacking the Crow Tribe? Is Leader Shan Jia interested?" "What? Attack the Crow Tribe?" Shan Jia was so surprised, he thought he might have misheard. "That's right, the Crow Tribe and the Jackal Tribe have been fighting for so long. Right now, they are weakened. If the Vine Tribe, Mountain Turtle Tribe, and perhaps even the Beaver Tribe join forces, we can definitely defeat the Crow Tribe." Shan Jia didn't respond immediately. He was naturally cautious, needing to think carefully about such a significant matter. Jiang Xuan continued, "If we don't attack now, after winter, the Crow Tribe will become strong again, perhaps even stronger than before. At that time, whether it's the Vine Tribe or other tribes around the Great Swamp, they might be attacked by the Crow Tribe again." Shan Jia was silent for a moment and said, "Xian leader, this matter is too big. I need to discuss it with the witch." "That's only right." Jiang Xuan expressed understanding. Shan Jia asked Jiang Xuan to wait while he hurriedly went to find the witch of the mountain turtle tribe and asked the witch to consult the totem god's opinion. After a long time, Shanjia returned to Jiang Xuan. With a solemn expression, he said, "Xian leader, a joint attack on the Crow tribe is possible, but our mountain turtle tribe will only assist, not lead the charge." Shanjia added, "That's the turtle god's intention." Jiang Xuan thought for a moment and said, "All right, but once the battle begins, you can't just watch. You must join the attack." Naturally, our mountain turtle tribe won't sit by and watch the warriors of the vine tribe fight desperately. Great, then it's settled. In 3 days we will unite to attack the Crow tribe. The two finalized the matter and established a verbal agreement. Jiang Xuan then said, "By the way, I remember the beaver tribe had quite a few grievances with the Crow tribe too. I want to visit them to invite them to attack the Crow tribe together. Can leader Shanjia take me there?" Shanjia shook his head and said, "I advise Xian leader not to go. The beaver tribe is very timid and won't join us in attacking the Crow tribe." Jiang Xuan was surprised and asked why. "The Crow tribe poses a significant threat to them as well." Shanjia smiled wryly and said, "The beaver tribe is different from other tribes. They're used to hiding underground and never taking the initiative to attack. Is that really the case? If Xian leader doesn't believe it, I'll take you to the beaver tribe." Since he had come all this way, Jiang Xuan was unwilling to give up on the beaver tribe as an ally, so he prepared to persuade them. After the meal, Shanjia put on a thick turtle shell, took a dozen warriors, mounted the mountain turtle, and set off through the water route together with Jiang Xuan to the beaver tribe. Jiang Xuan and Shanjia sat on the same giant turtle, with Tang Yuan flying above as a lookout. The distance between the mountain turtle tribe and the beaver tribe wasn't very far. After a few hours, Jiang Xuan saw buildings by the water. Unlike other tribes' buildings, the beaver tribe's houses were half submerged, appearing to float on the water. Moreover, these houses weren't ordinary houses. From a distance, they looked more like giant nests built from woven trees and reeds. Seeing Jiang Xuan's surprised expression, Shanjia laughed. "It's odd, right? I also found it strange when I first saw the beaver tribe's houses. These houses were built by the large otters." Jiang Xuan suddenly remembered scenes from his past life of beavers building dams with branches, incredibly impressive, sometimes even blocking small rivers. These houses might be constructed based on the dams. Shanjia approached Jiang Xuan mysteriously, whispered, "The place where the beaver tribe lives is dug with many tunnels, and the entrances are all underwater. If they encounter danger, they'll dive into the tunnels together with the large otters to hide." Looking at the beaver tribe's buildings, Jiang Xuan thought to himself, "Truly, there's nothing unusual in the vast world." As they got closer to the strange houses of the beaver tribe, members of the beaver tribe had already seen the mountain turtle and rode large otters to greet them. The beaver tribe leader Lu Zhu was also among them. Upon seeing Shanjia and Jiang Xuan together, he was quite surprised, internally speculating about their visit. "Leader Shanjia, Leader Xian, welcome to the beaver tribe." Lu Zhu invited Shanjia and Jiang Xuan and the warriors of the mountain turtle tribe into the beaver tribe's peculiar houses, while the giant mountain turtles would bypass the buildings and rest on the shore. The oval roof, numerous passageways, and thick walls made from woven wood and reeds made Jiang Xuan feel like he was inside a giant nest, a truly unique experience. Lu Zhu led them winding inside, and along the way, Jiang Xuan saw many large otters. Finally reaching a spacious room, Lu Zhu stopped and invited everyone to sit wherever they liked. Though there were no chairs, the floor was covered with several layers of reeds, making it quite comfortable to sit. "Come, Leader Shanjia, Leader Xian, try some ice lotus dug up a few days ago." A warrior brought over some clean ice lotus, and Lu Zhu invited everyone to taste. Jiang Xuan was given a piece about the thickness of an arm. Biting into it, he felt a cool sensation and a refreshing sweetness in his mouth. Compared to the ice lotus he had grown in his garden, the ice lotus from the beaver tribe had a far superior taste. Perhaps this is the allure of the original habitat. After enjoying the ice lotus, Lu Zhu invited them to eat some fish and beast meat, as well as various wild fruits. After a satisfying meal, the three began discussing serious matters. Jiang Xuan explained the plan to jointly attack the Crow tribe, emphasizing the threat they posed to the Beaver tribe. However, after hearing Jiang Xuan's words, Lu Zhu shook his head. Our Beaver tribe is too weak. We have few warriors. Even if we join the attack, we won't be of much help. Lu Zhu said much, but in essence, the Beaver tribe did not want to be involved in the attack on the Crow tribe. As expected, the Beaver tribe liked to hide in their domain, unwilling to take action even when knowing the Crow tribe was a threat. Jiang Xuan felt a bit disappointed. He had hoped to persuade the Beaver tribe to join the fight, but since they were unwilling, he'd have to proceed without them. After the talk, Jiang Xuan didn't linger at the Beaver tribe, but left with Shan Jia, riding the giant mountain turtles. Perhaps out of courtesy, before they left, Lu Zhu gave Jiang Xuan and Shan Jia each some precious ice lotus, ensuring their trip wasn't in vain. Chapter 191. Attack, Attack. After returning to the mountain turtle tribe, Jiang Xuan said to Shan Jia, "If the Beaver tribe won't fight, we'll fight on our own. When the time comes, we can split the resources we seize in half." Shan Jia hesitated for a moment, then couldn't help but ask, "Chief Xian, does your Vine tribe have confidence in winning?" Jiang Xuan smiled faintly and said, "If Chief Shan Jia really has concerns, our Vine tribe can fight by ourselves. However, when the time comes, everything we capture from the Crow tribe will be ours alone. Chief Xian, please don't get upset. I'm just uneasy in my heart. Chief Shan Jia, you can rest assured, our Vine tribe never does anything we're not confident about." "Then I'm relieved, Chief Xian. Let's attack the Crow tribe together 3 days from now and kill those crows." "All right, we promise to kill those crows." Both parties also agreed on some specific details for the attack 3 days later, including the rendezvous point. Jiang Xuan glanced at the sky, which was already nearing twilight, and he leaped onto Tang Yuan's back. "Chief Shan Jia, that's settled then. It's getting late, so I'll head back first. It's dangerous at night. How about Chief Xian stays in our mountain turtle tribe for the night?" Shan Jia winked and said, "I'll find some female warriors to accompany you." Jiang Xian's eyes widened as he thought of the robust and muscular tribewomen, and quickly waved his hand, saying, "No need, no need. There's still much to prepare back at the tribe, so it's best to return early." "That's true, so be careful on the road." Shan Jia didn't insist, as preparations for something as big as attacking the Crow tribe indeed required a lot of work. Tang Yuan suddenly kicked its legs, then rapidly flapped its wings, flying up into the sky and gradually disappeared into the distance. Shan Jia watched Tang Yuan's silhouette, enviously saying, "Having a big bird that can fly is really nice." Shan Jia glanced at the giant mountain turtle beside him and said, "But our turtle tribe's giant turtle isn't bad either. Its defense is much stronger than the bird's." Shan Jia patted the thick shell of the giant mountain turtle and then slowly walked back into the tribe. On October 7th, aside from those unable to participate in the battle, all the warriors of the Vine tribe were prepared to set out. In front of the altar, Jiang Xuan stood in a row with 6 leaders, having their totem patterns drawn on by Qi Shao personally. Qi Shao stood before Jiang Xuan, holding a beast hair brush in her right hand and a clay palette filled with paint in her left hand, starting to paint the totem patterns for him. Qi Shao's hand was steady, painting calmly and slowly, and soon she painted a simplified divine vine on Jiang Xuan's cheek. Finally, she used green, red, yellow, and blue paints to draw 4 horizontal stripes on Jiang Xuan's face. After finishing, Qi Shao whispered, "May the vine god protect you safe." "Thanks for the witch's blessing." Jiang Xuan opened his eyes, and the totem pattern added a wild aura to his entire demeanor. Next, Qi Shao painted totem patterns and warrior rank stripes on Go Tong, Shi Qiu, Nin Xing, Jing Jie, Gan Song, and Jiao respectively. As for the other warriors, they had already painted their totem patterns on each other, and several hundred stood together in a large crowd in front of the altar. Qi Shao put down the beast hair brush and paint palette, walked barefoot up to the altar and began chanting an invocation. Qi Xiao's chanting grew increasingly fervent, and a mystical tune gradually stirred the blood of all the warriors. Rumble! On Stone Mountain, the entire divine vine erupted with intense divine light, while its roots gradually retracted from the earth. The divine vine unwound in circles, detaching from the tall stone mountain, then floated up into the sky with its roots. Once the divine vine was completely floating high above, the divine light grew so intense it was hard to look at directly. After finishing the invocation, Qi Xiao bowed to the divine vine, then turned and faced all the warriors of the vine tribe, loudly proclaiming, "Warriors of the tribe, follow the steps of the vine god and destroy our enemies." Jiang Xuan also raised his bone spear, shouting loudly, "For the vine tribe! For the vine tribe! Kill, kill, kill!" In the bamboo forest, more than 400 warriors of the vine tribe raised their weapons, their battle cries echoing through the sky. Buzz! In the sky, the massive divine vine began to move slowly. Whoosh! Dozens of gigantic dragonflies circled around the divine vine in continuous flight, stirring up fierce winds. Jiang Xuan walked out of the bamboo forest, climbed onto Tang Yuan's back, and shouted, "Set off!" Yi! Tang Yuan flapped its wings and soared high into the air, continuously spiraling upwards. Qi Xiao also rode on a great horned deer, holding a stone spear, surrounded by many warriors, slowly advancing. Me, Jojo. All the warriors of the vine tribe started moving, some riding great horned deer, others on rock sheep, following the guidance of the vine god, and Jiang Xuan in the sky, toward the crow tribe. On the mountainside of the large mountain across the Feiyu River, the old witch sat in front of a cave with a giant eagle squatting beside him, while Blackstone Elder was also present. Inside the cave were the old, weak, sick, and disabled of the vine tribe, along with a large amount of food and supplies. Before setting off, Jiang Xuan specifically entrusted the old witch with taking care of these people. A tribal war. I truly want to go and see. The old witch watched the gradually receding divine vine and the warriors of the vine tribe, feeling great yearning. Beside him, Blackstone Elder, as he sharpened stone tools, sighed and said, "Unfortunately, I'm too old, with hardly any battle strength left. Otherwise, I could join the fight." Chapter 192, Attack, Attack. 2. The old witch comforted, "Don't be disheartened. The weapons you've crafted will go to battle in your stead." That's true. Blackstone thought of this and became cheerful again, working more diligently on polishing the stone tools. Southern Wilderness, Mountain Turtle Tribe. After 3 days of preparation, the Mountain Turtle Tribe set out as well. Like the Vine Tribe, those who couldn't fight in a Mountain Turtle Tribe also hid, but they hid in the Mushroom Forest. Those capable of fighting all sat on the backs of the mountain turtles, ready to depart. Roar! After the sacrifice, the enormous turtle god roared towards the sky, then led a large number of tribe members into the water first. Splash! Following that, one gigantic mountain turtle after another carried the warriors into the water, following the turtle god into the great swamp. Unlike the Vine Tribe, the Mountain Turtle Tribe preferred to travel by water, planning to land on the side of the Crow Tribe near the great swamp, catching the Crow Tribe off guard. Shan Jia, still wearing that heavy turtle shell, stood on the back of one gigantic mountain turtle, feeling both tense and excited. The enmity between the Mountain Turtle Tribe and the Crow Tribe was deep, as they were once forced by the Crow Tribe to leave their tribe and hide on an island in the Great Swamp. I hope the Vine Tribe is really strong, so together we can kill those damn crows. Shan Jia clenched his fists, a fierce glare rarely seen in his eyes. October the 9th, early morning. After entering the forest, the divine vine shrank, leaving only the giant dragonflies and Tang Yuan flying above. Yesterday afternoon, they arrived outside the Crow Tribe's territory. But since the agreed time with the Mountain Turtle Tribe had not arrived, they temporarily hid and spent a night in the forest, while dispatching many warriors to gather information on the Crow tribe. After the first rays of sunlight pierced through the clouds and shone upon the earth, 2 warriors from the mountain turtle tribe quietly landed and went to the agreed location to meet up with the vine tribe. Jiang Xuan said to the mountain turtle tribe warriors, "Go back and tell your leader Shanjia, after the sun rises, we will attack the Crow tribe immediately." "Okay, we'll go back at once." The 2 mountain turtle tribe warriors quickly returned to report. Jiang Xuan then gathered all the vine tribe warriors together and shouted, "The mountain turtle tribe people have arrived. Everyone take your positions according to the plan." Before departure, Jiang Xuan had already formulated a battle plan, which the leaders were all aware of. "Hunting Team 1, come with me." Go Tong rode a great horned deer, leading Hunting Team 1 towards the left side of the Crow tribe. "Hunting Team 2, come with me." Shi Qiu led Hunting Team 2 towards the right side of the Crow tribe. The other teams also set off to their predetermined battle positions. Finally, the remaining guard team followed Jiang Xuan and Qi Xiao. As the sun rose and sunlight pierced through the clouds, the divine vine in the forest immediately began to float, quickly growing taller and larger until it was as gigantic as a winding dragon. Buzzing, dozens of giant dragonflies resting on the large trees also took flight, advancing with the divine vine. In the forest, Jiang Xuan sat on Tang Yuan's back and shouted loudly, "Charge!" "Yeah!" Tang Yuan quickly ran to the open area and then soared into the sky, following the divine vine from afar. Qi Xiao and the guard team warriors also rode great horned deer, charging toward the Crow tribe. At this time in the Crow tribe, many warriors were already out hunting, but still half of the warriors were responsible for the tribe's safety. Suddenly, a huge green mass appeared in the sky in the distance, rapidly approaching the Crow tribe. "What is that?" The Crow tribe warriors looked up to the sky, puzzled by the massive mass of light, feeling a sense of foreboding. "Caw, caw, caw." Just then, from a massive ancient tree in the center of the Crow tribe, the Crow god flew out of its nest, crying continuously. The witch of the Crow tribe immediately walked out of the wooden house upon hearing the commotion, first looking up at the huge light orb already approaching the Crow tribe, then shouted in horror, "Enemy attack! Prepare for battle!" In an instant, the entire Crow tribe was thrown into chaos, as everyone hurriedly picked up their weapons, ready for combat. Boom! At this moment, a gigantic divine vine emerged from the huge light orb, throwing out a thick vine that fiercely smashed towards the Crow tribe. Crack, crack! In an instant, any large tree hit by the vine broke apart one after another. Whether it was the crow's nest on the tree or the buildings on the ground, all exploded into fragments. Several unlucky warriors of the Crow tribe were directly smashed into pulp. Caw, caw, caw! The Crow god, in a fit of rage, immediately charged at the divine vine. Snap! A thick vine lashed towards the Crow god like lightning. Its speed was terrifyingly fast. The Crow god was hit, flying backwards instantly. Caw! The Crow god let out a pained cry as it slammed onto the ground, breaking several large trees along the way. A few black feathers were snapped off and drifted down from the sky. Only at this point did it suddenly remember how terrifying this divine vine truly was. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At this time, dozens of fearsome giant dragonflies also flew over, ferociously charging towards the Crow tribe and beginning to battle with the hordes of large ravens flying chaotically. The wingspan of the giant dragonflies exceeded 6 meters, while the wingspan of the large ravens was only 2 to 3 meters, creating a complete mismatch in size. However, the large ravens outnumbered the giant dragonflies, surrounding them with wild attacks, going Urala. But the giant dragonflies flew extremely quickly. As soon as their barbed claws caught a large raven, it couldn't escape anymore. Subsequently, the large raven would have its head bitten off by the terrifying pincers of the giant dragonflies. Before long, Jiang Xuan, riding Tang Yuan, also charged over. Puff! Tang Yuan rushed forward, its giant and sharp claws instantly piercing through a large raven, shattering its bones, with nearly all its viscera ruptured, evidently beyond saving. Tang Yuan released its grip, shaking a few times to throw off the large raven, then searched for its next target. Well done, Tang Yuan. This was Jiang Xuan's first time fighting side by side with Tang Yuan, and only then did he realize how terrifying the fledgling bird he had picked up long ago truly was. Upon receiving praise, Tang Yuan became even happier, accelerating its speed once more, before long using its sharp beak to peck another large raven to death. Jiang Xuan was not idle either. He sat on Tang Yuan's back, raising his bone spear, seizing the opportunity to fiercely stab, instantly skewering a large raven. Again! Jiang Xuan and Tang Yuan attacked simultaneously, joining forces with the giant dragonflies to engage in aerial combat with countless large ravens. On the ground, warriors of the Vine tribe also launched a charge from 3 sides. With the Divine Vine's help, they swiftly breached the Crow tribe, fighting the warriors of the Crow tribe. While dealing with the Crow god, the Divine Vine extended numerous vines, strangling the warriors of the Crow tribe on the ground. If not for this, even if the Vine tribe's few hundred men gathered to charge in one direction, they couldn't win, let alone dispersed. The entire Crow tribe was engulfed in chaos, battling fiercely both in the sky and on the ground, with the sound of fighting echoing to the heavens. In the great swamp, the turtle god of the mountain turtle tribe led over 100 giant turtles and warriors of the mountain turtle tribe in ambush. The great swamp was filled with floating aquatic vegetation, tall and dense. As long as they were not exposed on the open water, the people of the Crow tribe found it difficult to discover them. Moreover, the Crow tribe had never dealt with enemies from the water, lacking experience and awareness in this aspect. On the back of a giant mountain turtle, Shanjia listened to the sounds of battle from the Crow tribe, watching the terrifying vine in the sky along with the fierce fights between numerous giant dragonflies and large ravens. He even saw Tang Yuan, as its purple feathers were truly conspicuous. Shanjia nervously asked the witch, which the Vine tribe has already attacked, when will we launch our assault? The witch of the mountain turtle tribe glanced at the terrifying vine in the sky and said, that large raven seems unable to defeat the god of the Vine tribe. We can't wait any longer. Attack immediately. Shanjia immediately shouted, attack. Roar. The formidable turtle god led the way, quickly swimming to the shore, then rumbling forward like a giant tank. Kill. One giant mountain turtle after another also came ashore, carrying warriors of the mountain turtle tribe and running swiftly, charging together with the turtle god. Already besieged by chaos, the Crow tribe had not anticipated the sudden appearance of the turtle tribe and caught off guard. The mountain turtle tribe advanced rapidly, killing many. Chapter 193. The Fall of the Crow Tribe. Southern Wilderness, Crow Tribe. Hold the line. Everyone holds the line. The hunting warriors will be back soon. The Crow tribe, which was frantic, screaming at the top of her lungs, but her efforts were in vain. In the sky, dozens of giant dragonflies and a massive purple bird were slaughtering the large crows mercilessly. The terrifying Divine Vine was beating the Crow god into submission and had unleashed numerous vines to strangle the Crow tribe warriors on the ground. The arrival of the Turtle tribe dealt an even more devastating blow to the Crow tribe. With the Crow god restrained by the Vine god, the Turtle god could lead its horde of giant mountain turtles in a rampant slaughter, moving as if in an uninhabited land. If this goes on, the Crow tribe won't survive long enough for the warriors out hunting to return. The tribe will be annihilated. The Crow tribe, which saw it clearly and felt the urgency, but with even the Crow god powerless, what could she do? Boom! At that moment, the Turtle god charged in, crushing everything in its path, whether it was people or structures. Witch, run! The leader of the Crow tribe came running over, covered in blood, his eyes filled with dread. Most of the warriors he led had been bitten to death by those terrifying giant turtles, and the rest were fleeing in panic. Run, run! The Crow tribe, which was also panicked. Though she was older, she wasn't prepared to die and was very afraid of death. Seeing the tribe unable to hold out any longer, her first thought was to flee. The leader and the witch of the Crow tribe ran to the right side of the tribe, hoping to escape into the forest and find a way to survive. However, they hadn't anticipated that this path was a dead end. Hunting Team 2 was blocking the retreating Crow tribe warriors, slaughtering them, while Ferocious climbed a large tree, finding a vantage point from which to shoot arrows continuously. His archery was incredibly accurate. With every arrow, he let loose, taking down a Crow tribe warrior. When the leader and witch of the Crow tribe ran to this area, their distinct attire immediately caught Ferocious's attention. The witch and leader of the Crow tribe. Ferocios's eyes narrowed slightly, recalling the time when the Deer tribe was exterminated, led by these two who brought the Crow tribe's warriors for rampant slaughter. Today, I'll use your lives to honor our former tribe members. Ferocious took a deep breath, carefully pulling out a different feathered arrow, placed it on the bowstring, and slowly drew the bow. The arrowhead of this feathered arrow was personally honed by Black Stone Elder. Not only was the stone of excellent quality, it was also honed to be extremely sharp, with a sleek design and smooth lines. In this moment, he was intensely focused, with the sounds of battle seemingly fading away, ignoring the melee on the ground. His gaze was locked only on the Crow tribe witch and leader. The Crow tribe leader was strong and quick to react, not necessarily killable with one arrow, so Ferocious aimed instead at the Crow tribe witch. The Crow tribe witch was still fleeing in panic, as Ferocios's arrow followed her movements. When Ferocious felt he could hit the target, he immediately released the bowstring without hesitation. Whoosh! The feathered arrow flew like lightning towards the Crow tribe witch. While fleeing, the Crow tribe witch suddenly felt her hair stand on end, sensing a terrifying danger descending. But when she turned around, it was already too late to dodge. Thud! The arrow pierced through her throat, severing her hope of survival. The Crow tribe witch clutched her neck desperately, trying to make a sound, but was choked by blood. Her eyes were filled with terror, wanting to plead with the Crow god in the sky, but it was already too late. Witch! The Crow tribe leader couldn't believe the sudden turn of events. He shouted in anguish, but could only watch helplessly as the witch fell. Scanning the chaotic scene, the Crow tribe leader couldn't determine from where the arrow had been shot. Boom! The massive turtle god continued its rampage through the Crow tribe, toppling houses and large trees alike, crushing many Crow tribe warriors. The Crow tribe leader, resigned, had no choice but to abandon the witch, who was beyond saving, and flee alone. Whoosh! Another feathered arrow tore through the air towards him, but the Crow tribe leader, already wary of his surroundings, rolled forward the instant the arrow came, narrowly avoiding it. He then fled in panic. Ferocious was determined not to let him escape, but lacked the confidence to kill him, so he immediately shouted to the sky, "Leader, don't let him get away." Riding Tang Yuan and slaughtering crows, Jiang Xuan heard Ferocious' voice and immediately looked towards the ground. Having consumed many eagle-eye mushrooms and luminous mushrooms, his eyesight far surpassed that of ordinary warriors. Thus, he quickly spotted the escaping Crow tribe leader. "Tang Yuan, head down." Jiang Xuan patted Tang Yuan's neck and pointed towards the direction of the Crow tribe leader's escape. Screech! Tang Yuan let out a sharp cry and immediately turned around, partially folding its wings as it swiftly glided towards the ground. No matter how fast the Crow tribe leader ran, he only had 2 legs. How could he be faster than Tang Yuan? He hadn't run far when he heard the ominous wind overhead, looking up to see a pair of sharp claws reaching for him. If those claws grabbed him, he'd be as good as dead or lose half his life. Disregarding his pride, the Crow tribe leader rolled forward again, dodging the claws. But he hadn't expected Jiang Xuan, who was on Tang Yuan's back, to jump directly down. Chapter 194, Crow Tribe Annihilation 2. Boom! Jiang Xuan landed, charging forward a few steps to confront the Crow tribe leader, fiercely thrusting the bone spear forward. The Crow tribe leader had no time to evade. The bone spear directly pierced his back, its immense force penetrating through his chest. The Crow tribe leader let out a scream, reversing his spear to thrust backward. Jiang Xuan reacted swiftly, immediately withdrawing his bone spear and dodging the counterattack. Puff! The Crow tribe leader spat out a mouthful of blood. Jiang Xuan's thrust had penetrated his vitals, making breathing difficult for him. But as a four-color warrior, he had much stronger life force than ordinary people. He turned and fixed a ferocious stare at Jiang Xuan, charging at him with fury. The two tribal leaders clashed fiercely, but the Crow tribe leader, already severely injured, was quickly overwhelmed. YRR. Just then, Tang Yuan returned, slashing at the Crow tribe leader with its sharp claws. This time, the Crow tribe leader couldn't evade, and Tang Yuan's claws pierced through his body, lifting him into the air before dropping him. In his final moments, the Crow tribe leader saw that his entire tribe had been destroyed, with surviving warriors fleeing in all directions to save their lives. Bang! The Crow tribe leader hit the ground, his bones shattered, meeting his end. Tang Yuan flew back to Jiang Xuan's side, gazing at him proudly. Well done, Tang Yuan, Jiang Xuan praised, then joined the Vine tribe warriors in pursuing the Crow tribe members, but they didn't chase after the large crows. Under the joint assault of the Vine tribe and the Mountain Turtle tribe, most of the Crow tribe was annihilated, with only a few managing to escape. In the sky, the Crow god, under constant attack, suddenly realized the tribe was gone, and even the large crows were almost exterminated. Caw! The Crow god cried out in anguish, preparing to flee. With the tribe gone, it had to think of its own escape. However, while it wanted to flee, the divine vine wouldn't let it leave. To destroy a tribe, its totem god must be killed, or it poses a great threat in the future. Like when the Crow tribe attacked the Mountain Turtle tribe before, the Crow god couldn't kill the Turtle god, leading to disastrous repercussions for the Crow tribe, constantly ambushed by the Turtle god until they had to leave the Mountain Turtle tribe's territory. Buzz! In the sky, the divine vine erupted with blinding light, with terrifying divine power surging like ocean waves. Swish, swish, swish. Countless vines grew rapidly, spreading across the sky like a massive web, wrapping around the Crow god from all directions. The Crow god could fly, but so could the vine god, and the speed of those vines was astonishing, leaving the Crow god with no escape. Caw! In desperation, the Crow god turned back, unleashing a fearsome divine fire that warped the very air. The last time, the Crow god escaped the Vine god's entrapment using the divine fire, but this time, the Vine god was stronger and wouldn't allow it to escape. In an instant, countless vines enveloped in a thick protective layer of radiant light. Since the Crow god wasn't a flamethrower, the divine fire couldn't burn continuously. They just needed to endure that one moment. In a blink, the vines pierced through the divine fire, wrapping around the Crow god. The more the vines entangled the Crow god, the tighter they held, rendering its divine fire useless. Simply put, there was a significant power differential between the two, and once the Vine god gave its all, the Crow god stood no chance. Caw! More and more vines entangled the Crow god, ultimately wrapping it completely, its cries growing weaker until they vanished entirely. In the sky, countless vines enveloped the Crow god, much like a spider wrapping its prey, slowly siphoning its life force. On the ground, the Turtle god looked up at the divine vine in the sky, its pupils constricting sharply. From the moment it arrived, it knew the divine vine was powerful, as a plant that could fly in the sky. This indicated a true strength of at least a mid-sized tribe's totem god. However, it hadn't expected that in front of the divine vine, the Crow god wouldn't even have a chance to strike back. At that moment, it felt very fortunate that the Mountain Turtle tribe wasn't the enemy of the Vine tribe. Otherwise, against such a formidable divine vine, it wouldn't have the confidence to rely solely on its stout defenses as it did against the Crow god. When the power gap is too vast, even the strongest defenses won't hold. The ground battle was finally over, with Jiang Xuan leading the Vine tribe warriors in collecting the spoils of war. Suddenly, a voice echoed in his mind. "I'll head back first. You take care of things here." Jiang Xuan looked up at the divine vine, seeing it flying back towards the vine tribe with the still ensnared crow god. Jiang Xuan knew the crow god was doomed and would be like the totem god of the mosquito tribe before, having all its divine power drained by the divine vine until it was obliterated into nothingness. The divine vine had left, but Jiang Xuan couldn't leave yet. He still had to divide the spoils with the mountain turtle tribe. Everyone, be thorough. Gather everything useful and pile it together. Jiang Xuan shouted, then began to go through the collapsed wooden huts, collecting various items from the crow tribe. Just when Jiang Xuan thought the battle was over, suddenly from the north, shouts of battle erupted again. The mountain turtle tribe members, busy collecting spoils, found themselves caught in a fierce battle with a large group of crow tribe warriors who had suddenly appeared. There's more. Jiang Xuan was stunned, then guessed that those warriors must be crow tribe hunters returning from expeditions. They had just arrived back, clueless to the fate that had befallen their tribe. Forget collecting the spoils for now. Charge with me. Jiang Xuan gripped his spear and once more led the vine tribe warriors into battle. The outcome of this battle was unsurprising, as the turtle god's presence ensured that the crow tribe warriors didn't last long, with most perishing soon after and the rest scattering, only to be hunted down by the mountain turtle and vine tribe warriors. Soon after, most of these crow tribe warriors were killed. This time, the battle truly concluded. Once the spoils were fully collected, it was already afternoon. Weapons, food, and other resources were piled into several small mounds. Ha ha ha. Chief Xian, fighting alongside your vine tribe is truly invigorating. Shan Jia was very happy, a grin lighting up his face. This time, not only did they destroy a formidable enemy, but they also gained a wealth of resources. How could they not be pleased? Chief Shan Jia, it's getting late. Shall we divide the spoils now? Yes, let's divide the spoils. Under the supervision of Jiang Xuan and Shan Jia, according to their prior agreement, all the spoils were split evenly, then packed and taken by each tribe. Once the spoils were divided smoothly, Shan Jia's smile grew even broader. Strictly speaking, the mountain turtle tribe gained an advantage over the vine tribe, because the divine vine was so powerful it dealt with the crow god by itself, leaving the turtle god with little to do but kill crow tribe warriors on the ground. Even the large crows were mostly dealt with by the divine vine, giant dragonflies, and Jiang Xuan. Yet, Jiang Xuan kept his promise, splitting the spoils evenly, which further improved Shan Jia's impression of Jiang Xuan and the vine tribe. Chief Xian, I hope next time we have a chance to fight together again. As long as Chief Shan Jia wishes, there will surely be opportunities. Haha, I'm looking forward to it. Jiang Xuan and Shan Jia chatted for a while, then each led their people, starting their journey back home. Splash, splash. The massive turtle god was the first to enter the great swamp, followed by other giant mountain turtles, each carrying a share of the spoils. We should head back too. Jiang Xuan directed the warriors to load some of the spoils onto the backs of giant dragonflies to be transported back, while the other spoils were carried by great horned deer and mountain sheep. The bodies of the fallen vine tribe warriors were also carried home by the surviving warriors. War always claims lives. What Jiang Xuan could do was bring their bodies home, so they could rest within the vine tribe's territory, revered by future generations. People of the deer tribe, you can rest in peace now. Before departing, Qi Xiao, along with Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nan Xing, gazed at the annihilated crow tribe, feeling their long-held grievances dissipate. From today on, the vendettas concerning the deer tribe were finally settled, and they would devote themselves entirely to the rise of the vine tribe. Let's go back home, Jiang Xuan shouted, and the entire vine tribe contingent began their journey home. Chapter 195, Winter Arrives. Southern Wilderness, Crow Tribe Ruins. Gone. The Crow Tribe is gone. Dozens of warriors from the Jackal Tribe looked at the dilapidated Crow Tribe in front of them, only feeling a chill down their spines. The Crow Tribe and the Jackal Tribe were entangled for so long, and neither could deal with the other. Who would have thought that the Crow Tribe would suddenly be wiped out? If the Jackal God hadn't noticed something amiss and sent them to check it out, they wouldn't even know that the Crow tribe was gone. A warrior asked in confusion, which tribe could have wiped out the Crow tribe in such a short time? It might be a mid-sized tribe. Yes, it must be a mid-sized tribe. Let's go back and inform the chief and the witch. The destruction of the Crow tribe brought a sense of crisis to these warriors of the Jackal tribe because their strength was similar to the Crow tribe. The other party could wipe out the Crow tribe just as easily as they could wipe out the Jackal tribe. These warriors immediately rode their jackals back to the tribe and brought back the news of the Crow tribe's destruction. When the chief and the witch of the Jackal tribe got the news, they were first shocked, then made the same judgment as those warriors, believing that the Crow tribe must have been destroyed by a mid-sized tribe. For a time, the entire Jackal tribe was on edge because they had no idea where this mid-sized tribe was or whether it posed a threat to them. They would never have thought that the ones who destroyed the Crow tribe were actually two small tribes with populations barely over 1,000. Southern Wilderness, Vine Tribe. After Jiang Xuan led the warriors of the Vine Tribe back, he retrieved the tribesmen hidden in the caves across the Feiyu River and moved the hidden supplies back to the granary. Plus, with a large amount of loot captured this time, the Vine Tribe's warehouse was piled full. This winter, even without hunting or fishing, the Vine Tribe could live in comfort. With joy comes worry. This time, the Vine Tribe lost 65 warriors in battle, 17 were disabled, and the injured were countless. Jiang Xuan wouldn't abandon the disabled warriors. He would arrange tasks for them that they could do so they could continue living in the tribe. As for the deceased warriors, Jiang Xuan followed tribal customs, wrapping each body in a piece of beast hide and burying them on the sunny hill slope north of the Vine Tribe. After everyone left, Jiang Xuan sat in front of the 65 graves, whispering, "I really hate saying farewell. I wish everyone in the tribe could live to old age. But living in this dangerous, barbaric world, wanting more people to survive means someone has to fight, someone has to sacrifice. It's unavoidable. Rest in peace. Warriors, your achievements will be eternally remembered in the tribe's history. Your kin in the tribe will also be cared for." Jiang Xuan stayed in the graveyard for a long time, murmuring many things, until the sun leaned west and he slowly walked down the slope. The setting sun cast a red veil over the graveyard on the hill. On the south side of the Vine Tribe, the old witch stood outside the bamboo house, watching Jiang Xuan descend from the hillside, nodding with a smile, saying, "Quite the affectionate fellow, isn't he?" Maybe living in such a harsh environment made him see too many cold-hearted people. The old witch actually admired those with affection and righteousness. Though cold-hearted people can make choices that maximize benefits, they cannot gain true trust from others. October 13th, the weather became increasingly cold, and in the morning, a layer of white frost had condensed on the ground. This signified that autumn had passed and the cold winter was approaching. Inside the bamboo house, Jiang Xuan used a stone knife to peel each dried red crystal rice grain and threw them into the pottery cauldron. The red crystal rice grains were about the size of a red date, with a thin red outer skin. They could be cooked without peeling, but eating them wouldn't be as pleasant. After peeling dozens of red crystal rice grains, Jiang Xuan added water, some dried beast meat, and salt into the pottery cauldron, covered it with the cauldron lid, and placed the cauldron in the hearth, slowly simmering it. Red crystal rice is a type of cereal grain, and given enough simmering time, it can become a pot of porridge. Of course, Jiang Xuan wouldn't wait that long. He just needed it thoroughly cooked. Gradually, a fragrance from a mix of grains and beast meat wafted from the cauldron. Quite delightful. Smells so good. Once cooked, Jiang Xuan picked up a pottery bowl, scooped the red crystal rice and beast meat into it using a large pottery spoon, and began eating slowly. The red crystal rice had a glutinous rice-like texture, soft and tasty. Additionally, the salty, delicious dried beast meat allowed Jiang Xuan to eat 5 large bowls. Knock, knock, knock. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door outside the yard. "Who's there?" Jiang Xuan asked. "Leader, it's me, my dong. Tang Yuan, go open the door." My dong was formerly a warrior of the Rock Sheep tribe, but had now become a warrior of the Vine Tribe. Tang Yuan reluctantly left the bamboo shed, waddled to the yard gate, and grabbed the wooden stick blocking the gate, then immediately went back to the bamboo shed to sleep. Due to its increasing size, the bamboo shed had been widened and elevated, otherwise it wouldn't be able to hold it. My dong pushed open the door and entered Jiang Xuan's house. "Have you eaten?" "Eva, eat then." "What do you need me for?" Jiang Xuan continued to munch on the red crystal rice, asking my dong. "Leader, as the weather gets colder, the tribe doesn't have as many urgent matters now, so I want to start refining insect wax." Chapter 196. Winter Comes Too. In the spring, my dong had managed those waxworms with Jiang Xuan and the old witch of the rock sheep tribe, making insect bags for them. In September, after the waxworms secreted wax, Jiang Xuan took my dong to that wax tree forest again to collect the insect wax from the branches. Waxworms secrete wax in August and September, eating the leaves of the wax tree and secreting a large amount of white wax to wrap the branches. The branches wrapped in insect wax looked like branches heavily laden with thick snow, pure white in color. After bringing this insect wax back to the vine tribe, they were too busy with the fall harvest to process it, so they stored it all in the warehouse. Now that the busy fall harvest was over and the battle with the crow tribe was done, my dong, who had been thinking about the insect wax, came looking for Jiang Xuan. The collected insect wax is fluffy like snowflakes and cannot be used directly. It needs to be boiled in a pottery cauldron, removing impurities and some dead waxworm carcasses after melting. And cooling it would make the wax solidify into blocks. Afterward, these solid blocks of insect wax are remelted and poured into bamboo tubes or other containers to make candles or for medicinal use. Jiang Xuan quickly finished the food in his bowl and said, "I almost forgot about that insect wax if you hadn't mentioned it. Let's go, I'll take you to get it." Jiang Xuan put down his bowl, wiped his mouth, and then led my dong to the warehouse where the insect wax was stored. All the warehouses of the vine tribe were guarded by warriors, and ordinary people couldn't enter without the leader or witch's order. Insect wax, being an important resource, was placed in the newest and largest mud brick warehouse. When Jiang Xuan and my dong went there and asked for the insect wax, the guarding warrior opened the door immediately. Upon entering the warehouse, the first thing in sight was the mountains of grain, things like red crystal rice packed in beast hide bags, while round potatoes and stone eggs were piled directly on a reed-covered floor. It gave a sense of security to see these grains every time. Jiang Xuan went to the corner of the warehouse, found 4 beast hide bags filled with insect wax, and said, "Insect wax is precious. Let's move it to my place for processing." "Yes." My dong and Jiang Xuan each carried 2 bags of insect wax, then left the warehouse and returned to the courtyard in the bamboo forest. Unprocessed insect wax would be quite fluffy, and after processing, it would become roughly 1 bag out of the 4. After bringing the insect wax into the house, Jiang Xuan took out a large 3-legged pottery cauldron, cleaned it, and placed it in the hearth, adding half a cauldron of water. Then, my dong poured the insect wax into the cauldron until it was full. Boiling insect wax requires patience, and my dong is a very patient person. He tended to the hearth, waiting for the water to heat, and after the insect wax began to melt, he occasionally stirred it with a stick. The fluffy insect wax gradually melted in the hot water, with the wax floating on the top layer of water, while the worm carcasses and impurities sank to the bottom. Once all the insect wax had melted, my dong removed the fire and added cold water to the cauldron to cool it quickly. As the water in the cauldron gradually cooled, the top layer of insect wax gradually solidified into a big block, pure white and beautiful, with a faint fragrance. My dong took out this block of insect wax, placed it on a nearby stump, then poured out the water in the cauldron, cleaning out the worm carcasses and impurities. He then put the cauldron back into the hearth, added half a cauldron of water, and added more insect wax, continuing to boil. My dong spent 2 whole days boiling all 4 big bags of insect wax in a large blocks of pure white insect wax. The 4 big bags of insect wax solidified into only about 1 bag as expected. Of course, its weight did not decrease much, only changing from a fluffy state to a solid state. Boiling insect wax was a time-consuming and patience-requiring task. Removing the impurities from the insect wax and changing it from a fluffy state to a solid puck is the first step and the most time-consuming one. Next is to shape the insect wax into the desired form. Jiang Xuan planned to use half of the insect wax to make candles, so he specially twisted a few fine cords to make candle wicks. He then found many sections of bamboo tubes to use as candle molds. My dong found a two-handled pottery jar, cleaned it, and placed it in the hearth. Once the pottery jar was heated, my dong broke a big block of wax and put it into the jar. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. As the temperature increased, the block of insect wax in the pottery jar gradually melted into liquid wax oil. My dong wrapped something around the jar's handles and lifted it up. Jiang Xuan picked up a bamboo tube in his left hand and pinched a fine cord with his right hand, hanging it in the middle of the bamboo tube. "Careful, leader. I'm going to pour it." My dong held the jar and slowly poured wax oil into the bamboo tube until it was almost full. Jiang Xuan took the bamboo tube and walked to the pool outside, immersing most of the tube in water to aid cooling. By now, winter was approaching. The water was particularly cold, and the wax in the bamboo quickly solidified, with the string fixed in the middle as the candle wick. Finally, he brought the bamboo tube back into the house, immersed it in hot water, and once the bamboo tube was warmed, the wax sticking to it melted. Jiang Xuan easily tipped out the thick candle. "Done!" Jiang Xuan looked at the round, thick candle, feeling full of accomplishment. This was the first candle he had personally participated in making. Afterward, they used the same method to make 15 large candles from half of the insect wax. The wax tree forest is too far away, and without tending those waxworms, we couldn't get more insect wax to make candles. My dong was disappointed with this year's insect wax production. To him, it was a great loss. "It's okay, the wax trees we planted on the nearby mountains have already taken root. Once winter passes, we can transplant more wax trees. In a few years, there'll be a vast wax tree forest there. By then, we'll bring the waxworm eggs over, and eventually, our vine tribe territory will also produce insect wax. In the future, you will be responsible for managing those wax trees and waxworms." Upon hearing Jiang Xuan's words, my dong's eyes brightened, and he felt excited. "Leader, I will definitely manage the wax trees and waxworms well to produce more insect wax for the tribe." Jiang Xuan smiled, nodding, and patted my dong on the shoulder. "I believe in you." Receiving the leader's affirmation, my dong felt energized and more motivated for work. For the remaining half of the insect wax, they also used bamboo tubes as molds to make cylindrical pieces, but without putting cords inside. This insect wax would be used for medicinal purposes, needing only a small piece cut by a stone knife and ground into powder when needed. After finishing with the insect wax, my dong finally felt relieved of a burden. "Leader, since the work is done, I'll take my leave." "Wait a moment." My dong turned back. "Leader, is there more work for me to do?" Jiang Xuan took out a smaller candle and said, "This is for you." It's too precious." My dong dared not take it, knowing the wax candles were highly valuable. Even in the rock sheep tribe, only witches and leaders could use them, and others would only get insect wax powder when injured to stop bleeding. "Take it. Without you, the vine tribe wouldn't have so much insect wax. This is well-deserved." Jiang Xuan stuffed the candle into my dong's arms. Moved to the point of tears, my dong wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. Jiang Xuan smiled, patting his shoulder. "The vine tribe does not shortchange those who contribute to the tribe." My dong nodded vigorously, then held the candle made of insect wax tightly against his chest. "You can go now." "Thank you, leader." My dong sincerely thanked Jiang Xuan, then turned to leave. From this moment on, he finally felt a true sense of belonging to the vine tribe and developed admiration for Jiang Xuan. Indeed, who wouldn't like such a leader? A few days after finishing with the insect wax, it snowed in the southern wilderness. Snowflakes gently fell from the sky, covering the ground. After a heavy snowfall, all things were dormant. Whether humans or animals, they hardly went out, quietly waiting for the arrival of spring once more. Chapter 197. The Children of the Vine Tribe. Western Wilderness in a Nameless Forest. The people of the Frog Tribe finally found a small stream with water, and they rested wearily beside it for a moment. Croak, croak! The giant frogs joyfully hopped into the stream, using the water to moisten their dry skin. Despite the snowfall already covering the southern wilderness, the western wilderness remained hot. Only places close to the southern wilderness were cold, and the farther west one went, the hotter it became. The western wilderness was too vast. It took the Frog Tribe more than half a year to walk from the depths of the western wilderness to this place. No one knew how long it would take to reach the southern wilderness. But there was one thing that could be certain. That is, the farther south they went, the denser the forest became, and the more abundant the water resources were. This discovery was the greatest comfort to the Frog Tribe during their migration. They told themselves they would surely reach a place where water was not lacking, prey was plentiful, and survival was possible. The leader of the Frog Tribe, Huameng, walked to the water's edge. Using the stream, he saw his own reflection. The totem pattern and warrior pattern on his face had been blurred by sweat. Huameng simply cupped water in his hands, washed his face clean, and enjoyed the soothing feeling of water running over his cheeks. Afterward, he found the witch. Witch, help me paint on new totem patterns. Okay. The witch of the Frog Tribe took out the pigment from the beast hide bag she carried with her, mixed them with water, and then, using her fingers, began to paint on Huameng's face, bit by bit. The totem pattern of the Frog Tribe wasn't complicated. It was a rounded giant frog with relatively long legs, painted in an abstract way, looking somewhat comical. In fact, the totem patterns of different tribes were all somewhat similar, with only a few tribes having particularly aesthetic totem patterns. Because you couldn't expect every tribe's first generation witch to be a painting genius. Perhaps a certain witch was particularly gifted in painting, but they could only make the lines look a bit nicer, not daring to alter the totem pattern substantially. Only some large tribes with long heritages could gradually refine their totem patterns to look nicer through generations of witches' continuous tweaks. After the witch of the Frog Tribe finished painting the totem pattern, Huameng said, "Remember to paint the 6-color warrior pattern and make it bold." The witch of the Frog Tribe nodded, then took out 6 types of pigments, mixed them, and painted them one by one on Huameng's face. Done! After the witch of the Frog Tribe finished painting, she packed up all the pigments, which were very important to her. Huameng looked at his reflection on the calmer surface of the water, nodded with satisfaction. Although his actual power was only 3-color, as long as his face bore the 6 colors, paired with his tall and imposing stature, he was still quite intimidating. Are we really going to the southern wilderness? I feel that if we go a bit further, the environment is already quite nice with forests, water, and prey. The witch of the Frog Tribe was not very enthusiastic about migrating all the way to the southern wilderness, because their understanding of it was limited to the descriptions of those 2 people from the Vine Tribe. Huameng retorted, "Witch, what season is it now?" "Winter." "Yes, winter. But here, not to mention snow, we don't even need to wear thick beast-hide clothing. I remember it wasn't like this before." The witch of the Frog Tribe frowned slightly, but said nothing. The place our Frog Tribe has lived for generations was once a large forest, and the water of the divine lake was always abundant. Every winter, it would snow, and our giant frogs would hibernate in burrows. But what happened later? In just a dozen years, everything changed. The rain from the sky became infrequent, and it no longer snowed in winter. The large forest vanished, the divine lake dried up, and the giant frogs stopped hibernating. Huameng pointed to the ground and continued, "Now this place is also hot, and rain is rare. If we stay here, who knows if it will become like the place we used to live? Since we have already started on the migration path and have walked for so long, why not migrate directly to the southern wilderness? Even if it's just close to the southern wilderness, we won't need to make such a long migration like now in the future." After hearing Huameng's words, the witch of the Frog Tribe sighed softly and said, You make a good point, but the road is too long. Haven't we encountered enough dangers along the way? Which, even if we find a place nearby to settle, can we guarantee there will be no danger? It's impossible. The witch of the frog tribe nodded helplessly, acknowledging Huameng's argument. I'll lead the warriors for hunting first. Huameng left the stream's side, a giant frog following closely behind. In fact, most people of the frog tribe shared the same view as the witch. The southern wilderness was too far. They just wanted to find a good place to settle down. If it weren't for Huameng's perseverance, the frog tribe might not have made it here. Huameng was also very tired, especially when no one understood him, a type of exhaustion that was even more overwhelming. But for the continuation and even the flourishing of the frog tribe, he had to persist. As he had said, there was no absolutely safe place on this land. Even if settled, they could be invaded or even wiped out by other tribes. In that case, why settle for mere survival? Only by migrating to a place truly suited for the frog tribe's survival could they have a chance to thrive. Otherwise, without a totem god, insufficient population, and undesirable living conditions, the frog tribe could face extinction at any time. Follow me, let's go hunting. Huameng straightened his back, lifted his head, and led the way into the forest ahead. Chapter 198. The Children of the Vine Tribe 2. By the creek, the frog tribe warriors looked at each other, then whistled and followed Huameng's steps with the giant frogs whose skin was wet. Southern Wilderness, Vine Tribe. Chief, Jiang Xuan was trying to make some bamboo slips when someone loudly called out from outside. Tang Yuan went out hunting with the giant eagle, so Jiang Xuan had to set aside the bamboo pieces he was roasting and go to open the door himself. Coming. Jiang Xuan walked into the yard, stepping on the thick snow, walked to the gate, moved the wood supporting the door which had its surface frozen, and then pulled open the gate. She's pregnant. Outside was Go Tung. His expression was very excited. His eyes were glowing. Pregnant with what? Jiang Xuan felt a bit bewildered. Fu Ling is pregnant with my child. When Go Tung said this, he was so excited he couldn't help but jump up. Really, Fu Ling told me. And the witch also went to see. That's really great. Congratulations. Go Tung, you're going to be a dad. Jiang Xuan was surprised. Go Tung was going to be a dad. This gave him an indescribable feeling, with his happiness for Go Tung being the most pronounced. Chief, do you think Fu Ling is having a boy or a girl? Shall I give the child a name? I also need to prepare food for them. And yes, warm beast hide clothing cannot be lacking. In such cold weather, we can't let the child freeze. Go Tung said many things, almost rambling, clearly overexcited. Jiang Xuan helplessly said, Isn't it a bit early to say these things now? Pregnancy lasts at least more than half a year. By then the weather may be very hot. Right. Go Tung scratched his head awkwardly and said, I can at least pick a name, right? Chief, why don't you help me think of a name? I can't help with such matters. Anyway, there's still plenty of time. You can think about it slowly yourself. Best to ask Fu Ling's opinion. Choosing a name is a very headache-inducing matter. Jiang Xuan felt it was better for Go Tung and his spouse to worry about it themselves. All right, then I'll go back and ask Fu Ling. Snow began to fall from the sky, and the two entered the house. Go Tung was still excitedly talking to Jiang Xuan about matters related to the child, even pondering how to teach the child to hunt when the time comes. Jiang Xuan listened to Go Tung's dreams about the future while roasting bamboo pieces, occasionally discussing with Go Tung. This feeling is very magical. The Vine tribe hasn't been established for long. Its members are a mix from various tribes, not particularly harmonious due to different living habits and thoughts. But now, the second generation of the Vine tribe is about to be born. In fact, since its founding, the Vine tribe has already birthed hundreds of children. Relying on the Vine tribe's relatively ample food and resources, most of the children survived, though a small portion unfortunately passed away for various reasons. These children are the future hope of the Vine tribe. If the Vine tribe can continue to survive, these children will live, grow, and learn various skills within the tribe. When the Vine tribe's second generation and even third generation of children grow up, all their memories will be about the Vine tribe. They will have a strong sense of identity with the vine tribe. As long as the tribe treats them well, most will instinctively protect the tribe. The tribe's future depends on how these children perform when they grow up. With all the vine tribe currently possesses, and Jiang Xuan's knowledgeable grasp, he is very confident in making the vine tribe's children stronger, more knowledgeable, and better able to utilize their talents compared to children from other tribes. Jiang Xuan is very confident about this. After discussing with Jiang Xuan, Gotong rushed back because Jiang Xuan told him that pregnancy is very stressful and suggested that he take good care of Fu Ling and feed her more nutritious things. The vine tribe is different from other tribes. The pregnant women and children of the vine tribe receive special care, with allocations of more meat, warmer beast hide clothing, and more rest time. Jiang Xuan told Gotong that fresh fish is very nutritious and beneficial for the development of the baby. So, after Gotong hurried back, he found Jing Jie, hoping he could help him catch some live fish. We haven't been fishing at Feiyu River recently. How about I catch a few from the pond for you? I'll help too. With ice-breaking tools in hand, the two informed Jiang Xuan and then went to the pond to break the ice and fish. The central part of the vine tribe's pond is dug very deep, with bamboo-built shelters and covered with tall stalks of red crystal rice. So even if the pond freezes in winter, the fish can have a hideaway. Gotong and Jing Jie went directly to the center of the pond and, using a sharp-end stone hammer, chiseled the ice bit by bit. Because it is covered by a shelter, the ice in the center of the pond is much thinner than elsewhere. Under the vigorous pounding of two three-color warriors, a hole was quickly chiseled out of the ice. The fish in the pond were almost all gathered here, crowded together. Due to the lack of oxygen underwater, when the ice hole was chiseled open, many fish soon popped up to the surface, mouths open for air. Jing Jie, quick-eyed and nimble, immediately scooped out a few big fish and put them into a vine basket. Then he covered the ice hole with red crystal rice stalks to prevent the fish from jumping onto the ice and freezing to death. Handing the vine basket to Gotong, Jing Jie said, "These fish should be enough for a few days." Holding the vine basket and looking at the lively big fish inside, Gotong cheerfully said, "Enough, enough. Thanks, brother Jing Jie. It's all in the same tribe. No need to be polite." The two walked back with their gear, evidently closer than before. Back in the house, Gotong immediately cleaned a big fish and put it into the pottery cauldron, cooking it with foods like polygonatum. As for the other fish, they were cleaned and rubbed with some salt before being stored. In such cold weather, fresh fish can be stored for a long time, especially when salted. Fu Ling looked at the fish in the pot and said uncomfortably, "There's no need to specially make these for me. Just being full is enough." The chief said eating more fresh fish is beneficial for the baby. Then, but no need to cook such a big one. Upon hearing it's good for the baby, Fu Ling immediately softened. Gotong said, "Eat up, don't worry. If we run out, I'll get more. Later, I'll bring more prey back to the tribe." Fu Ling nodded. "I'll also make more clothes for the tribe." Both of them have very simple ideas. Having consumed more of the tribe's food, they feel they should work more for the tribe to be at ease. In the bamboo house, Jiang Xuan continued to make bamboo slips. He first used a stone knife to break along the bamboo's lines and peel off the green skin. Because the green skin is too tough, if not peeled off, it is difficult to engrave words. Plus, bamboo with green skin after drying has uneven surface color, affecting the final appearance. After removing the green skin, Jiang Xuan placed the bamboo pieces on rough stones, smoothing the surface piece by piece. Next, he roasted these bamboo pieces one by one over the fire, using high heat to kill any possible eggs on the surface and dry out the moisture to prevent the bamboo pieces from warping. Finally, he drilled a hole at the top of each bamboo piece using a sharp stone, then strung them together with strong tree bark strings. Due to limited tools, the bamboo pieces were relatively wide and thick, although not as delicate as the bamboo slips Jiang Xuan had seen in his previous life. They were still usable. After making these primitive bamboo slips, he found a small knife made from the best stone material and started engraving words slowly on the bamboo slips. He was engraving a calendar. In fact, The reason he spent so much time and effort making bamboo slips was because the first calendar bamboo tube had already been bored with several holes by insects, likely decaying within a few years. At that time, the bamboo tube hadn't undergone any treatment and was directly engraved, leading to the discovery of eggs inside the bamboo. To avoid losing the calendar information he meticulously engraved, he could only use the abundant wintertime to make some rot-resistant bamboo slips and replicate the calendar information from the bamboo tube onto the slips. Vine Tribe Year 1, Month 1, Day 1, Sunny. Jiang Xuan engraved these words on the brand-new bamboo slip, blew off the dust, and was quite satisfied with the engraving effect. Chapter 199, Black Wind Rhinoceros. Boom, boom, boom. At the edge of the western wilderness, the Grand Canyon continues to move violently, becoming deeper and longer. Meanwhile, a large amount of groundwater is converging into the Grand Canyon, turning the first half of the canyon into a deep river. However, there are no fish or water beasts inhabiting this river yet. Due to the continued splitting of the Grand Canyon, geological activities like volcanic eruptions and earthquakes occur frequently, and the environment in the western wilderness is constantly changing. Tribes living on both sides of the Great Rift Valley, as well as tribes affected by environmental changes, are migrating one after another. These migrating tribes are competing for resources with the native inhabitants along their migration routes, leading to the extinction of many tribes, while some others take the opportunity to rise. The Great Migration Wave spreads across the western wilderness and the northern wilderness beyond the Grand Canyon. Initially, because the western wilderness is vast, the conflicts between these tribes occur only within the western wilderness. But as time goes by, this migration wave begins to affect the southern wilderness and eastern wilderness. The Jackal tribe entering the southern wilderness is just the beginning, as more tribes continue moving toward this area. Among these tribes are small tribes, medium tribes, and even large tribes, with varying distances to the southern wilderness and different arrival times. It can be assured that the survival environment in the southern wilderness will become even harsher, and both the native tribes and the migrating tribes will strive to compete for territory and resources. To survive in such an environment, the only option for tribes is to keep getting stronger. Hoo. In the cold winter, Jiang Xuan rides Tang Yuan flying in the sky, with the howling cold wind constantly hitting his face. Were it not for the robust physique of the four-color warrior, whose body continually emits heat like a furnace to warm his exterior, he wouldn't be able to withstand such cold. Tang Yuan went out to forage, and Jiang Xuan, bored of staying in the tribe, decided to join. Tang Yuan's wingspan has reached close to 10 meters and is still growing. Its massive size requires it to consume a large amount of food every day. Thus, it goes out to forage almost daily, whether in winter or summer. At this moment, the ground is blanketed in white, and animals are either hibernating or only active near their nests, making hunting difficult. Today, Tang Yuan has flown for several hours, yet remains empty-handed. But Tang Yuan doesn't give up. After a brief rest, it continues flying further, seeking out suitable prey. When Tang Yuan flies over a forest, it finally discovers something new. In the forest, dozens of large animals are walking slowly, with very large bodies covered in thick black long fur. Tang Yuan immediately lowers its flying altitude to better observe these animals. On Tang Yuan's back, Jiang Xuan also takes the opportunity to observe these animals. Is this a rhinoceros? Although a lot of snow has fallen on these animals due to the heavy snowfall, the thick and long beast horn on their heads is very noticeable. Jiang Xuan has never hunted rhinoceros, as there are none in the forest near the Vine tribe. However, he once chatted with the old witch, who mentioned seeing a type of black-winged rhinoceros in the southern wilderness. The black-winged rhinoceros is larger than a bison, with tough and thick skin and remarkable defensive capabilities. The characteristics of the black-winged rhinoceros are clear. Its back is prominently arched, with a sharp rhino horn on its head and a relatively short tail. In winter, it is covered in thick black long fur. In spring, the black long fur of the black-winged rhinoceros falls off completely, and the new fur grows slowly during the summer, only to rapidly grow in autumn, covering its body when winter arrives. Notably, the black-winged rhinoceros has extremely strong aggressiveness and frightening combat power. Ordinary predators dare not provoke them. If directly hit by a black-winged rhinoceros, even a fierce giant-toothed tiger may suffer serious injury or death. However, predators dare not provoke them, but that doesn't mean tribespeople fear hunting them. No matter how formidable the black-winged rhinoceros is, it cannot prevail against numerous tribespeople skilled in setting traps and using various poison weapons. To tribespeople, the black-winged rhinoceros is considered a treasure all over. Its incredibly tough beast hide, hard and large beast bone, thick and tough beast horn, and a substantial amount of meat have a strong attraction for tribespeople. Any capable hunting team loves hunting black-winged rhinoceros, as a successful hunt of one brings great rewards. The black-winged rhinoceros, originally with few natural enemies, has seen a substantial decrease in population due to tribespeople's targeting. Of course, because the black-winged rhinoceros itself possesses extremely strong combat power, the number of tribes capable of hunting them is not large. While their population has decreased, they cannot be easily driven to extinction. Tang Yuan, fly a bit lower. To better observe this group of black-winged rhinoceros, Jiang Xuan instructs Tang Yuan to fly lower. Tang Yuan lowers its altitude again and circles above the black-winged rhinoceros herd. With such a large bird of prey above, the black-winged rhinoceros immediately become alert, clustering more tightly while keeping a vigilant eye on Tang Yuan to guard against a sudden attack. Jiang Xuan observes for a while, finding these black-winged rhinoceros very intriguing. If only I could capture them to use as mounts, how amazing that would be. Chapter 200, Black-winged Rhinoceros 2. For some reason, a sudden thought popped into Jiang Xuan's mind. Currently, the mounts of the Vine tribe are mainly rock sheep and great horned deer. Although they run fast and have some combat power, they have a fatal flaw: they are quite timid. They have long been preyed for various predators and have honed their ability to run quickly. But precisely because of this, aside from running fast, their combat power is not strong. In contrast, the jackal tribe's jackals are predators themselves, very fierce, with extremely strong combat power and naturally equipped with the ability to coordinate in battle. If the Vine tribe gets into a fight with the jackal tribe, can those rock sheep and great horned deer really show their true strength? Jiang Xuan wasn't optimistic about this. So, he kept pondering whether he could find a stronger mount to make the warriors of the Vine tribe become mighty cavalry. He looked at many animals, but none of them were satisfactory. Until today, he encountered these black-winged rhinoceros. The black-winged rhinoceros's defense is unbelievably strong. Its running speed is not slow either, and its combat power is extremely fierce. If they could be tamed as mounts, it would greatly enhance the Vine tribe's strength. These are far more formidable than jackals. Jiang Xuan grew more excited as he thought about it, his eyes gleaming as he looked at the black-winged rhinoceros. The only problem was how to capture these strong and massive black-winged rhinoceros and bring them back. The distance to the Vine tribe was not close. Think of a way. Jiang Xuan kept his eyes on the black-winged rhinoceros, racking his brains on how to capture them alive and use them as mounts to train a powerful heavy cavalry. With his strength, perhaps by finding a way, he could kill one or two black-winged rhinoceros, but capturing them alive was unlikely. Even with the Vine tribe's 2 hunting teams combined, it couldn't be done. Why not try seeking help from the Vine god? In utter helplessness, Jiang Xuan could only pin his hopes on the powerful divine vine. Tang Yuan, stop hunting and let's head back to the tribe. I'll have the Jiao bring you a couple of long-tailed rabbits to eat. Yeah. Tang Yuan perked up at the thought of eating long-tailed rabbits, immediately turning and flying back towards the Vine tribe. Jiang Xuan memorized the terrain near the forest. In this weather, the black-winged rhinoceros couldn't run too far in a short time, so as long as they could find the forest upon their return, it would be fine. Tang Yuan's flying speed and stamina were strong. After a few hours, it brought Jiang Xuan back to the Vine tribe. After landing, Jiang Xuan immediately found Qi Xiao and told her about the black-winged rhinoceros. You want the Vine God to capture those black-winged rhinoceros? Yes, only the Vine God could bring those black-winged rhinoceros back alive. Qi Xiao hesitated for a moment, glanced up at Stone Mountain, and said, "But the Vine God is asleep." "I know the Vine God is sleeping, but the opportunity is rare." Jiang Xuan didn't want to wait until next year to find the black-winged rhinoceros. "Let me try." Qi Xiao closed her eyes, activated witch power, and began summoning the divine vine in a special way. After a moment, Qi Xiao opened her eyes again, a bit incredulous, saying the Vine God agreed. "That's great." Jiang Xuan punched the air, truly excited at that moment. Buzz! Above Stone Mountain, the divine vine suddenly emitted light, causing the ice and snow covering it to crack and fall down mountain. What's happening? People of the Vine tribe, hiding inside their huts, heard the commotion and came to their doorsteps, shocked at the sight of the divine vine on Stone Mountain. Jiang Xuan ran out of the bamboo forest, shouting to everyone, "Don't panic. I asked the Vine God to capture some special prey. It won't take long before it's back." Jiang Xuan didn't mention what prey it was. Due to their trust in the leader and the totem god, the people of the Vine tribe didn't question much. They just needed to know roughly what was happening. Boom! Hey. The divine vine quickly left Stone Mountain and shrank in size. Soon, a green vine rapidly extended towards Jiang Xuan, wrapping around his waist, while a soft light enveloped him. "Lead the way." The voice of the divine vine echoed in Jiang Xuan's mind. Jiang Xuan pointed to the northeast of the tribe, and the vine god immediately flew him in that direction. "De Jiao, send 2 long-tailed rabbits to Tang Yuan. Tang Yuan, wait for me at home." After the vine god took off, Jiang Xuan could only shout these 2 phrases before being quickly flown away by the divine vine. In the Vine tribe, De Jiao hurried to the breeding area to catch 2 long-tailed rabbits and delivered them to Jiang Xuan's courtyard for Tang Yuan to eat. Tang Yuan initially felt a bit down for not being brought along by Jiang Xuan. Yet, once it saw the long-tailed rabbits, its mood quickly perked up. As long as there's meat to eat, Tang Yuan can live happily. On the other side, Jiang Xuan flew through the sky, carried by the divine vine. The soft light shielded him from the biting cold wind, so he was no longer freezing, and the divine vine flew quickly and steadily, making the flying experience incredibly enjoyable. Half a day later, Jiang Xuan found that forest again, and the divine vine used its divine power to quickly locate the group of black-winged rhinoceros. When Jiang Xuan saw the black-winged rhinoceros, his eyes gleamed as he said, "Vine tribe's new mounts obediently follow us back." The capture operation of the black-winged rhinoceros could finally begin.